again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Cornette Experience. Today, proof that I can be nice to people, but only one time. Plus, on Unsolved Mysteries, we're going to try to unravel what the stipulations are for AEW's upcoming pay-per-view. All that and frivolity as well. And joining me, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you, the illegitimate son of Robert Stack, the great Brian Last, everybody.
Aloha, Jim. A pleasure to be here once again. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say about a few things on Dynamite here this week.
Can you step from the darkness into the light when you say that with a snap brim hat on? Go ahead.
That's right. This is Unsolved Mystery. We're going with this theme, Unsolved Mysteries. And
I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Jesus
that was a better role for him than Caddyshack 2, where he replaced Ted, what's his name?
Ted Bundy? Ted Baxter.
Ted Knight. Hey,
watch what you say about if it wasn't for Robert Stack, then Al Capone would have never gone to prison. So watch what you say about him. But speaking of prison, I know what you want to talk about. I know. I don't even have to ask. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Diddy do it? Diddy do it? Did Diddy do it? He didn't do some of it, but some of it he did do. So what now is Diddy going to do, in your opinion there, Brian?
I think Diddy will serve at most a couple of years, based on what everyone is saying. Technically, the judge could say time served, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But yeah, they overreached. They didn't get him on racketeering or sex trafficking. Reminder, those were the things that we heard they were going after Vince McMahon for, and they got dropped. And this is why.
Now I don't know about the racketeering, but it sounds like he had plenty of sex in traffic. From all the testimony, he was having the sex everywhere. But
they were saying the sex trafficking was like him getting a prostitute and bringing it across state lines. Not like, you captured this girl and, wouldn't let her out of your car and took her across the state. So, I mean, it seemed like an overreach on several things, not to take away from him being a nasty motherfucker.
But I just, you've been keeping us abreast of this. I don't mean to be, crass about the thing, but you've been keeping us up to date on this. So I didn't know what your reaction was now that the judge won't let him out, though. Do you think he would run off and just buy his own private island somewhere and just not come back? Rather than even go to jail for 3 years after all of this hoopla?
Well, we'll see how much money he has after all this hoopla, because this is the end of this, but this isn't the end of his court issues. He's getting sued by like 70 different people right now.
No, haven't you ever watched a goddamn James Bond movie? If he goes and buys some island somewhere and just staffs it with his criminal henchmen, then it don't matter whether could you sue Ernst Stavros Blofeld? Auric Goldfinger? Gonna haul him into court, Brian?
Well, I guess.
Let's see the discovery on that. He'll have odd job, chop your head off.
He wouldn't have to leave based on just a couple of years in jail, but the lawsuits, if there's something there, then yeah, he may pull a Russell Simmons and all of a sudden he's in Bali or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you had as much money as Diddy do, would you go to jail for 2 years, or would you just say, fuck it, I'll just, here, go get me 9,000 bottles of baby oil and 900 hookers and the plane and 10 bodyguards and the guy with the drug bag, and we're going to fucking Bolivia.
No, you don't do that over 2 years. That's the stupidest thing. That wouldn't happen.
How are you okay? Now you're saying that you don't believe Diddy would do a stupid thing.
I'm saying I don't think he would flee the country. I don't think he would flee America over getting 2 years in jail. No, I do not.
I don't think he's looking forward to the freak-offs or freak-outs or freak-out. Yeah, macho man. I don't think he's looking forward to those over the next couple of years.
Well, I think that's
especially because they don't have a lot of lube in jail.
I think that's exactly what he's looking forward to in jail. I think it's going to be the most epic freak-off of all time. Whatever girl he has at that moment, when he gets out of jail, it's going to be off the hook because now everyone knows. He doesn't have to hide anything now. Now it's just like he can like literally middle of the day go to Costco and get his baby oil, walk out with the cart, and smile for the cameras. He should get a sponsorship. They may be the only ones who'll do business with him. See, that's the big thing. How's his business going to repair? How's his business ever going to...
That's what I'm saying, Tom. And while he's got this money, fuck the lawyers. He ain't going to write that last check. They're going to take off from the airstrip in the middle of the night in the Astroglide Express, and you're never going to see him again. He's got all the money on his private island and etc. And he's going to be a Bond villain. He ain't going to put up with going to jail and no more. No more. That's what... You know what? Here's what I think about this. After all of this big buildup, I thought we were going to find out he was like the goddamn international fucking ring of goddamn something or other. I think it's a heel program. I think not only is this guy a fucking weirdo and a creep, but everybody that was working for him through all this and dating him and or anybody that happened to be his best fucking friend all got what they deserve. And I don't care about them. We got bigger fucking issues going on in the world, and whether Diddy do it. We know who the other motherfucker is that's doing it. Haul him into court and save some people around the world instead of Diddy's immediate goddamn social circle. That's what I think.
And the Rico thing was ridiculous. You're not going to get him for Rico for this. They treated him like John Gotti for this, for prostitutes and girlfriends that he beat up, and that's awful. But that wasn't even what he was on trial for. And the prosecution, from what you read, was presenting stuff like, this is how awful it was. This is what he did. She had no way out. There was nothing she could do. And then I think it was either Cassie or the other one where it was like, yeah, the prosecution saying how badly she wanted out. The defense is like, here's a text where you say, I'll take on any 3 men you pick. You pick them. So, I mean, like the jury's sitting there and it's like, it seems like
conflicting testimony, I believe.
Yeah, bad guy, people who made decisions on their own because they wanted to please this bad guy and then they regret it and you can't blame them. And some things, who knows how consensual they were based on what you heard, but
also can't get out of the okay. There's a lot of people can't get out of a relationship. They had a fucking guy arrested here in Louisville for chaining his goddamn girlfriend to the floor while he was gone, and he's hauled into court now. But you can't, when you're with an international superstar and people taking pictures of you and video of you, just say, hey, can somebody come over here and get me? I'd like to leave. Fuck you, can't fucking leave at that point, for God's sake.
Well, yeah, I think he was also paying her rent, but that's the Diddy case.
Well, goddamn.
But, the Vince McMahon stuff, again, we're still talking about the Janelle Grant thing. It's a civil case. Apparently, there's no fear of any federal case, and based on what we had heard, again, sex trafficking, and what just happened with this Diddy trial in front of a jury, you can't see how they would get Vince for that. Not to say he's not a nasty, dirty motherfucker, but
I don't know if these prosecutors can get anybody for anything at this point. I think they ought to call Stephen P. New. See if he can give him a fucking tutorial.
Apparently Stephen P. New, according to an email we received before the show, is getting bombarded from all over the world with legal requests.
Yeah, there was
all over the place. People are like, I know a lawyer.
We might have to see if we can get it legally cleared to fucking mention on next week's program what the contact with Stephen P. New was this week from someone needing assistance. But anyway,
you think Diddy can make a comeback? I mean, can anyone make a comeback from what has come out from the video of the beating in the hotel in California?
Well,
to the trial.
Anybody can make a comeback from anything at this point. Just for the sake of, if somebody is the most detestable cretin on the face of the planet, somebody else will like them for it. So you could come back with some people from anything, or possibly make people that are never interested in you before, oh, now he's okay, because people are fucking weird. So just a lot of people knows who he is. That's horrible.
A lot of people knows this, yes.
A lot of people don't think it be like it is, but it do. A lot of people know who he is. That's all he needs to make money if he wants to choose to do that.
If you were a porn studio, would you offer him money to direct based on the notoriety of him being all into filming it and directing the stars of his little private film, his girlfriend and whatever hooker they got?
Well, but no, because think about this. What goddamn porn studio could afford him at he ought to, that's the thing. He could just take over the porn business. He could open one as, hey, I'll show you how to do it right. And people would be buying that shit all over the fucking place.
Well, I think we just booked his comeback, unfortunately.
On VHS? Holy mackerel.
Well, I don't know about that.
He'd make a fortune.
I don't know about VHS, but
he could set up his own store, like Diddy's Diddle Den. And he could sell all of his porn and his lube.
I think there's another hearing coming up because I'm going to try to get the sentencing moved up. What do you think about the trial being over now and then the sentencing being in October?
Well, I also think he's probably pissed the judge off enough, and he said, "Oh, I'll just let this fucking guy sit there for a while and see if he likes it." You can't think that anybody is necessarily like, "Oh, this poor fucking innocent creature has been so mistreated." So they're probably just, let's let him sit there for a while.
I was watching CNN for the live coverage because they had like two different reporters in front, and then they had a reporter inside who could run out and give the reports. They had it fully staffed, and the people outside the courthouse started building up as the word of the verdict came in. And I told Suzanne what was on the TV when she walked by. She didn't believe me, and then the woman repeated it. The supporters started spraying baby oil in the air. When they said not guilty, they all started just spraying baby oil on each other and in the air. So someone said, did he make it off? Let me get the baby oil and go down to the courthouse. That's insane. That's crazy fandom.
Well, there you go. And boy, not only crazy, but greasy. All right, I found a couple things before we get into I'm sorry, I've touched the microphone there. Before we get into a couple of letters from the Cult of Cornette members, I've been pulling all this stuff out. We're going to have another TNA update here shortly. The paperwork and everything agent reports, things we've been talking about the last few weeks. And I've also been trying to go through some old pictures, programs, and things for another project I'm working on. It's going to be fun for all the kids. And I found three things real quick that I thought you would get a kick out of. My membership cards, Brian, to fan clubs.
Oh, cool.
Of wrestlers from the early 70s.
Oh, very cool.
At least as of this card expires March 1975. So I assume I got it in March 74. So I was 12. From the worldwide Bruno Sammartino fan club.
Georgianne?
No.
Mike Modugno?
No.
Oh.
I always thought it was Modugno. You think he was? I guess that doesn't sound very Italian, Modugno, does it? Well, see, I didn't know about Italian when I was fucking. Don't laugh at me.
When
now,
you were fucking, you didn't know about it, but now you know.
When I was 12, I'm saying I didn't know Italian when I was 12. No, this was the old vice president under Mike Modugno that took over for him, Larry Pilarski. The new headquarters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm certified as a member in good standing, the Bruno fan club there. And also, I'll have you know, I was a member. This certifies the above as a member of good standing. So I was standing all over the place. The Fabulous Kangaroos and manager Sir Clements fan club. The president of same, Wanda Melton, who had lovely handwriting.
Where was that?
I have no fucking idea. Because it's the picture of Al Costello and Don Kent with Sir Clements in the background, and they've got the flag, the Australian flag leaning in the back. What I was doing, you've read some of the fan club sections from the wrestling magazines at the time, even on the Apter magazines, on the newsstands, London Publishing. They had fan club sections. Somebody on Twitter tweeted out the picture of Taz when he was 12 years old, Pete Sinertia looking for pen pals from one of the magazines, right? Well, this was obviously before Taz's time. I'm not trying to make him an old man, but what you got when you joined the fan club, you always got like an 8x10 picture. I say always, maybe, but you always got an 8x10. Sometimes it was even autographed, not personally, but you got the idea that the guy had signed 25 pictures for here, Wanda, whatever. But you got an 8x10, you got the membership card, you got like supposedly bulletins, newsletters every so often. I don't remember ever seeing a goddamn Fabulous Kangaroos and Manager Sir Clements fan club newsletter. I got the 8x10, which I still have, and this card. But that's because some of these people are me. They're like 12 years old trying to start this fan club. And the guys are saying, sure, kid. Some of them lasted, as you mentioned, Georgianne with Bruno and into Mike Modugno and et cetera. But some of them, here's another one. The International Pedro Morales Fan Club.
You were a member of this, really?
I was again, every fan club that offered the picture and the bulletin and the card and whatever, some goodies. It was $2 a year, $3 a year, whatever, right? As well, I'll read you a note on the back of this because they didn't even fill my name in on this. His number one is spelled Morales, International Pedro Morales Fan Club. The president was Beth Zane from Pennsville, New Jersey. The vice president, Raymond Weaver from Philadelphia. But on the back of the card, it just no hello, Jim, or anything. Dues have been $3.50 since the beginning of summer. I'd sent $3, right, or whatever, or maybe $2.50. We'll make yours an 8-month subscription. If you prefer, you may send the additional $1 and be extended to a full year. So it's like you're sending off $2 or $3 in the mail to at least get an 8x10, usually signed, and hopefully some other shit. And sometimes you got bulletins out the yin yang, and sometimes you never heard from these people again. But the names that we all know were legitimate and persevered and lasted through the years.
I collect Fabulous Kangaroo boomerangs.
The yellow one on card stock or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, but yellow. I think it was supposed to be white, whitish.
Well, no. Actually, no. I'm not meaning like it's yellowed with age. No, I think there was a number of them, but I have one that is on yellow. It's a yellow colored boomerang with the writing on it and etc.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
They did have done white ones also. Do you have Al Costello's chart of 100 holds or whatever it is? Yeah. Okay. There you go.
See, he was early on with the self-promotion and the marketing. And again, it's in weird ways sometimes like that, but he was doing things that the average wrestler wasn't doing.
And also, if you kind of look back at that chart with some things, he was doing MMA holds because of his European background and his mat wrestling. And he was a little bit of the old hooker. He was doing some MMA shit on these demonstrations to make wrestling look legitimate that you didn't see back then from your average bear. Anyway,
hey,
all righty.
Can I mention something on a similar wavelength? Because I was going to file these, so these are here, and you mentioned passes or IDs, and made me think of this. I have two here. This one, an annual pass. Wrestling matches, Goulas and Welch Wrestling Enterprises. Admit, and then you write in a name. This pass, authorized by the Tennessee Athletic Commission, good from this date until this date, and you write them in. Nick Goulas, Roy Welch, promoters, signed, and I guess they would sign it there. No taxes, good for ringside seats.
Yes, the commission, and I'm not sure without looking at that what era this is from, but through one of Scott Teal's wonderful books at crowbarpress.com. The commission at some points had issues with Nick and Roy on giving away tickets and them not getting the proper cut or whatever. And there was an issue with either comps or which the Tennessee territory was never noted for giving out a lot of comps to any of the fucking shows. Sometimes they'd look at you sideways if you brought your wife or whatever.
Let alone ringside.
But I think, and let alone ringside, but I think at some point the commission may have been led to believe, oh, a lot of those are comps, you know, that type of deal, right? So there was for a period of time, there was some type of something like that had to be filled out. If it was going to be a comp ticket, they had to have some record of it. You see where I'm going with this.
Well, I also have here a shiny gold card. Minneapolis Boxing and Wrestling Club, Inc. This pass will entitle Mr., and there's a blank space to write in a name, and one guest to Minneapolis Boxing and Wrestling Club matches. You must exchange this pass at the box office the day of the match. Wally Carbo, promoter.
And that was, Wally Carbo obviously was Vern's partner from the beginning when they started the AWA, and he had a lot of the money in it at first. And then he was used as on-screen commissioner, promoter, etc., over 30 years or whatever. But if he would go around town with sponsors or businesses, and they would know who he was. Oh, there's Wally Carbo, the wrestling promoter. And if he sensed an interest in something and he wanted to, here, take this, they'll take care of you at the box office. And that's the type of thing he would hand out.
It's a good thing to have, especially if it's a town that you're going to be running regularly for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, 30 or 40 years, you probably need to fucking make a couple of friends. So that's what the promoters, that's what they would do.
I like that you're still going through your files. I think the listeners are really digging this stuff.
Yeah, they're digging. I feel like I need a shovel. And so that's the problem, is between moving a number of times 20 and 30 years ago and looking for shit for a specific project where I'm setting other stuff aside and I don't have time to put it back in a proper order. I've shuffled the deck a lot over the last 40 years. So you're getting shit in the order you get it in. As Mama Cornette used to say, it won't be as long as it's been. We'll come up with some other stuff. I wanted real quick, David from Long Beach, Mississippi has been feeling puny, as Christine Jarrett would say, but the shows have cheered him up. Apparently, he enjoys hearing us die on the air and just basically stink the joint up. And that he's able to make fun of us because of that. No, he didn't say that. I'm just,
We've been super serving him for a while.
He does like when we talk about Hong Kong Phooey.
Man, that song Rocky the Ramone had on the drive-through this week.
There you go. Well, he's now David from Long Beach, Mississippi, did I mention? Because he's probably the only one. There's 7 people there. So they'll know who he is over there at the stoplight.
Yeah.
He's got that on his repeat on his headphones or his ear pods or his nectarines or whatever the fuck they call them.
I'm from Long Beach, New York. You hear a lot about Long Beach, California. You don't hear too much about Long Beach, Mississippi.
Well, it's not that long of a beach, actually. That's what, people go there once for vacation thinking they're going to a big, long beach, and it's like fucking 40 feet, and there's some broken glass, and they say, fuck it, and they don't go back. So you don't hear a lot about it. Anyway, I also got another email. This is, again, folks, we got fans all over the world, and I know a lot of people are going to call bullshit that we have fans in Saudi Arabia, but I want to thank the several people on Twitter who took the freeze frame, the still frame of the guy wearing the Cornette face shirt by the ramp at Night of Champions and says, so we know they're there. It could have been this fellow. Although it, come to think of it, they were in Saudi Arabia. It may just have been a fucking excommunicated head floating around. Now, I'm not going to joke because Yusef, I'm going to apologize to some people here in a second, Brian.
Oh, now you? Now you're doing this? This is the new thing?
This show is going to be a theme where you see that I'm nice and polite to people when when I'm given the opportunity to be and I'm treated fairly and spoken to in a respectable fashion, I'm going to apologize to somebody here in a minute over there in Saudi Arabia. Because I genuinely mean it. So hold on here. Hi, Jim and Brian. See, he's talking to you too. I am a fan from Saudi Arabia. I mentioned it, Youssef. I listened to a clip you guys put out about Punk in Saudi Arabia, and I wanted to clear some stuff up. For starters, while the government here is awful, most of the people do not agree with it. That's something I imagine you can relate to. We are all legitimate wrestling fans, which I'm sure was evident on SmackDown and Night of Champions. We watch WWE religiously. No, we don't get free tickets or be forced at gunpoint to go to shows. We were talking about how similar it is. In a hyperbolic way, we were talking about, well, what is this? Well, those Korea type of things, Pyongyang, Brian. But we buy tickets just like fans in the U.S. do. Both shows were a legitimate sellout, and 50,000 tickets were sold across 2 days. So that's one thing you never heard anybody talking about was how many people were there, right?
So that ticket sale money goes to the Saudi government? Right? Because it's a sold show, right? I mean, WWE.
It's a sold show. Yeah, they would get for $50 million. I'd hope they'd get the money. I'd shake the fans down for change on the way out. But you don't hear them bragging about, well, we had 30,000 people one night, or at least 25 and 25. Somehow it totaled 50. Anyway, back to Youssef. While we do buy shows to see WWE, we do not like AEW. Most fans here don't know what it is, but a few friends of mine know who Tony Khan is and call him that crackhead kid.
Oh, come on. This is a bullshit email. From Saudi Arabia, they're calling him that?
Well,
come on.
Hold on now.
Come on.
He says, I'm just telling you I'm just telling you what's going on here. I then break the news to him that he's news to them that he's near middle age now, so he can't be a crackhead kid. Fans were offended by CM Punk here because they loved Punk, so his apology meant a lot to us, not because of the government, but because he is someone we all looked up to. We aren't a bunch of terrorists. We are fans and people just like you guys were. WWE comes here once or twice a year, and it's one of the biggest highlights of our lives. Now I'm sorry about that. CM Punk has seemingly been forgiven by most fans. I certainly forgive him. P.S. That apology was not a plant. I am friends with the man Punk apologized to. Whether he planned to do it or not, the fan was not in on it, despite what Uncle Dave claims. In conclusion, please remember, we are big fans just like others. We love Punk, Orton, Ripley, and Bayley. One of those things is not like the other. Please remember that when tearing down the regime, not the country or the people. So, I was thinking about, but his point remains, Brian, whether he is someone from Cleveland impersonating someone from Saudi Arabia or who he purports himself to be. When we were talking about the girls' match, one of the ladies' matches, and talking about the scuba diving outfits that Rhea Ripley and all of them were wearing. And I said, what's wrong with these people? And that was a blanket statement that I should not have made. Because, again, as he said, most of the people don't agree with the government. We've sat here all this time and we've got comfortable being able to say, what's wrong with those people? Well, now everybody around the world is saying, what's wrong with those people about us? And unlike in Saudi Arabia, they have the royal family where they can't get out of it. It's just whoever these people's sperm beneficiaries are.
Yeah, it's a different thing altogether. There's no elections. It's just this family will own this land forever.
We brought this shit on ourselves. So we have actually less fucking moral standing to criticize those people.
First of all, no one was criticizing the Saudi people. We were criticizing.
Well, no, I did. When I said, what's wrong with those people? That's why I'm apologizing. I hereby and publicly apologize to everybody in Saudi Arabia who doesn't think that Rhea Ripley ought to be wearing a scuba diver's outfit to wrestle in. Because it's not the fault of the regime. There's good people over there.
And that's
this
the thing,
proves
too,
it.
where he says, Punk didn't say anything bad about the Saudi Arabian people or fans. When you say, go suck a blood money covered dick, you're not talking about slap go fud and foobar makafakaloob. You're talking about the government who organized it, who brought the bone saws.
Yes, the Bonesaw McGraw.
That'd be interesting if there was a wrestler in WWE named Bonesaw, whatever, Bonesaw Bruce. Would they bring him over? Yeah.
Go to the side.
See, that's if you don't want to go to Saudi Arabia, that's when they tell you, like, come up with a new name. We're not going to use yours because we want to own you. Come up with a name that'll make sure you don't get booked.
What about Khashoggi?
Khashoggi?
Khashoggi.
Here is Billy. Overthrow the regime, Khashoggi. Yeah, that could be your name.
That probably wouldn't work over there.
No, I don't know.
See, it's all about the different markets.
It's crazy. And again, some of that email, I don't know about the Tony Khan hits, that makes it seem a little suspicious, but this isn't the first or only correspondence we've received from Saudi Arabia in the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of years, actually.
And I've not had Hotchkiss run the computerized figures yet, but we know we sold at least one T-shirt to Saudi Arabia, so we got that going for us. See, we're trying to bring people together all around the world.
So if it's a sold show, are the ticket prices high? Or are the ticket prices for the people? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that?
Well, Youssef, get back with us, because I don't know. I don't know what the cost of living or the things are priced like in Saudi Arabia to determine whether if $10 in the goddamn Amazonian rainforest might last you a year or two, but might not be so much anywhere else.
And one thing, and who knows what's what, but other than Dave Meltzer wasn't the only person reporting that fan Muhammad in the WWE hat carefully placed in the front row at the Punk thing that Punk heard over all the other screams of everyone else. Dave Meltzer wasn't the only person reporting that person was a plant. So who knows? Youssef says he knows him, but we also don't know Youssef. I mean, Youssef could be Joe from Chicago. I mean, it could be anyone.
You said that you don't know Youssef, but if you knew Youssef like I knew Youssef, you'd leave Youssef to himself.
Remember when Cat Stevens changed his name to Youssef Islam and said he was never going to play his songs again? Then he needed money, and then all of a sudden he started playing all his fucking songs again.
I didn't see that. There's the problem. I took him at his word. I thought he was gone and never came back. I never even knew that he flip-flopped on that. So I just, he was always seemed like a man of his word. So when he said, no, fuck it, I don't want to be a goddamn international superstar, rock star, selling millions of records. I want to be over here in the mosque or whatever. Well, okay, well, nice knowing you. Morning is broken. He got on the peace train. Right on out of there. Yeah. Anyhow, Brian, would you like to do our segment now that we've had the recurring segment over the past few weeks on the drive-through of what we talked about earlier? I've dug in the file cabinets and got some of the TNA agent reports that I was asked to give right before they fired me for giving them. And we've been reading those. Would you like to have the rest of the story now, bring this journey through hysteria into the close that it closed on?
Absolutely. This has been a very popular segment, a recurring segment here on the show the last several weeks. We hope we can find something to substitute for the fact that you only did a few weeks of these, but let's go back to this.
Yeah. Well, I've still got a bunch more. I've got the OVW drawers are jammed, and I've got talent evaluations and various paperwork and ephemera. If I could ever figure out a way to file it, I just have a file for one piece of paper. These things are all goddamn unique. But nevertheless, to bring people up to date, you could hear it on the YouTube channel, that in TNA summer of 2009, Dixie had sent Jeff Jarrett home. Then, as we've pretty much established, Russo had manipulated her to fire all the people that Jeff had hired, which included Dutch Mantell and Creative and Savio Vega was an agent, and Road Dogg was an agent, and I'm the last one. And Terry Taylor has asked me to write the agent reports. Tell us what you really think. Give us, some analysis on this, just like you do it in person. Don't hold back. I've read them. Was there any 4-letter words in it? Maybe a shit every once in a while. But was there ever even any? They were very professionally written report. They were written writs. If you've read the writs I've written, you'll know they're really well written writs.
I thought they were really fair, actually. It was kind of exactly what you would want.
Well, there you go. Well, hold on, more on that in a minute. But anyway, I've written those reports, and also, as we've established, they brought in a bunch of new agents, which unfortunately, and I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but they were not of the experience level at that level of production and et cetera. And they were all beholden to have a job, and they were very indie minded. Whereas we've lost our experience. Dave Sahadi and Keith Mitchell, the producer and the director, want me in the truck. I'm producing the main event matches. The younger guys were coming to me for input on stuff I wasn't involved in to try to just help their presentation. I've been given Hernandez as a project to make Super Mex, and we're talking about bringing him to Louisville to help work out with him. And so all this is going, and Jeff Jarrett has called me to say, don't let Vince Russo go too far with his booking. You know how he is, that type of thing. So I'm doing all this stuff. I've given the reports. I've read the reports on the previous clips. And I actually found, because this was on email, obviously, this was my first year of email back in 2009. I got with the picture. I sent the last agent reports in that we just finished on last week's program reading. This is from Terry Taylor. T. Taylor at TNAWrestling.com. I bet that's probably not still a goddamn email address. Jimmy, in capital letters 3 times. Awesome, awesome, awesome report. Thank you for your insight, hard work, and passion. We need to hear these things. I'll forward this to management. Again, phenomenal job. 4 exclamation points. One would think I was on the right track if I'm getting this from the head of talent relations, wouldn't one?
That seems rather positive, effusive. Yeah. Jeez.
So anyway.
What was Terry Taylor's actual job?
He was the head of talent relations. He was I mean, do I have to explain at this point?
No, I mean, he was Laurinaitis.
No, I don't mean to you, but I mean to the average person who the head of talent relations is. He sits in on the contract negotiations. He signs the paperwork. He's the liaison between the talent and the creative and the office and the business people. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's the John Laurinaitis, you're saying, of TNA.
Well, God damn. Just throw tar all over him. Yeah, you could say yes. I mean, in the job description only. I don't even want to do that to Terry. He's a stooge, but he's not goddamn that bad. Anyway, also I found this is who got the agent reports. Terry Taylor sent them to Dixie Carter with carbon copies to see how many of these names you recognize. Andy Barton, TNA Wrestling. That would ring a bell.
I remember Mike Barton.
No, that's Bart Gunn's real name.
Yeah, in All Japan.
No, Andy Barton was some guy that they got to work in the office, and he is the one that Jeff knew that this was 2006, 7-ish, right after I'd gotten there, shortly after. Jeff knew that a lot of the guys needed some work in front of people and or some training in non-indie ways of doing things, and had talked to Dennis Condrey, who's living in Huntsville, which is less than 3 hours on the interstate below Nashville. Hey, do you think you could set up a little training center? We could have guys a lot of guys live in Nashville now. Maybe we run some spot shows. We actually had to go and talk to and we did 2 meetings to talk to Andy Barton and Dean Broadhead, who was another big wig in the office. And not shit took place. But anyway, Andy Barton and Dean Broadhead, Matt Conway, he was the guy that worked. He was in WWF in the 90s, I think. Or am I confusing him with another? Yeah, I may be confusing him with another Russo stooge that worked in the office up there. And Russo brought with him. I think Conway may have been new. Come to think of it, I was there. Bill Banks was the Russo stooge. Matt Conway was the guy that Dixie put on the creative team, allegedly so he could take notes and do the paperwork. And actually, they said so that he could stooge to Dixie on what they were saying in the creative meetings. And Vince Russo. That's who got the agent reports, right? So out of those people, Andy Barton and I got a copy. I was copied on the email. So Andy Barton and Dean Broadhead were in the office naked, didn't know shit from apple butter about the wrestling show talent and production and didn't care as long as it was allegedly supposed to be in the betterment of their company. And Matt Conway is the junior note taker on the creative team. And since Dutch is gone, I think about that time, about the only one left besides Russo and me and Russo and Dixie. So I wonder who would be the most upset about those agent reports, Brian, just in your unbiased but impartial opinion is what I'm trying to say.
The person who's invested in talent that you're not putting over the way they want would be someone, and the other person potentially, thinking about the situation, would be if there was a kindly old woman, well, I shouldn't say old, but if there was a kindly woman who had some guy in her ear, in her email inbox, nonstop saying, this guy's this guy's this, this guy's this, they may see the ultra negative in the very fair report that you had been filing.
Yeah, well, he didn't come anywhere near her box, but he came all kinds of close to both of her ears. But anyway, so at that point, as I mentioned here before, my contract was coming due in, it was in October, November, December, one of those things, because I'd started 3 years previously about that time, and I was going to ask for a raise because I'm doing a number of things, different things. Like I said, Jeff has me keep eye on the fucking the whole show. The production crew want me in the truck more. I'm agenting the main event matches, but I'm also trying to work with the younger guys, etc. I want a little more money because I'm sweating my balls off because it's humid in goddamn Orlando. And then, go ahead.
If we could stop there real quick for any of the listeners that don't know, you were driving down for every taping.
Oh, yeah, I was driving 20 times a year, 862 miles from the castle to the door of the Doubletree Hotel across from Universal. Why do you think Black Beauty has fucking 300,000 miles on it?
Those are team.
But anyhow, but it could be freezing up here and you'd get there, it'd be 100 degrees and humid as a wet sponge. And we were outdoors all the time because it was a sound stage. And then you go out underneath a covering, but you go outside in between the sound stages and over toward the building that has the offices. So it was even worse. You're in from heat to cool all day. And then the fireworks start inside the fucking 10 building, etc. But anyway, so after Terry Taylor sends me the email, awesome. The next time I heard from him, he calls me one day. I answered the phone, and that's when he said, Jim? I said, yeah, Terry Taylor. How are you? Well, I've got to let you go. So, okay. And that's when I laughed. I said, well, I was about to ask for more money, so I guess we're real far apart. I said, explain. And that's when he gave me the story about, well, Dixie doesn't believe you're 100% behind creative. And my jaw for a minute, I paused for a second. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, how is this news? Well, how is this a bulletin that she's taken 3 years to figure this out when 3 years ago I tried to quit when he came here, right? Well, it's not just Russo, just she doesn't feel you're 100% behind creative. And he's trying to kind of soft pedal the Russo thing. And, she just doesn't feel you could be as effective as you need to be if you're not all the way on the team. I just said, tell you what, have Dixie call me and tell me, well, don't have Dixie call me and tell me that, and I'd be glad to talk to Dixie. He said, oh, yeah, yes, I really do. Have Dixie call me and tell me that. And I think it was the next, of course, she had such a busy schedule trying to shop around Real Housewives of Brentwood, Tennessee or whatever. So she calls me the next day. And this was the actual longest conversation I'd ever had with Dixie. And it's not that I was ever rude to her or ignored her. For most of the time I was there, she didn't come to every taping. If she did come to the tapings, my workday and hers very seldom intersected. We're all over the complex doing all these things that I did every day until I was goddamn exhausted, but none of it involved speaking to or interacting with Dixie. If we were in the hallway, I would say, hello, Dixie. Or if she said hello to me, I'd say hello back, pass a word about the weather, but there was never any interaction or need to, and no avoidance of saying. Until, as I said, after she sent Jeff home, somebody running that thing had to be there. So then she was there more and was in the meeting and would have a couple meetings backstage with the talent. But nevertheless, so she calls and says, well, Jim, we don't think you're 100% behind creative. And again, I said, Dixie, Terry said that when you say that, you're talking about Russo and I don't know how this is news, how this is surprising at this point that I've never pretended to be behind Vince Russo. I've been behind TNA. I think it hampers your job if you're not fully behind. Now she's saying my job has been hampered. I was still trying to be nice. I wanted to say, which one of these 5 fucking jobs has been hampered that I'm doing currently for this fucking wacky company? But it could hamper your ability to do your job. I said, I'm behind TNA. That's why I'm trying to make it better. That's what I've been doing. And I've got nothing but praise for doing it. And it seems like everybody else in the company, except one person, wants to do more with me instead of less with me. But anyway, that was the deal. I gave her several opportunities in the course of this back and forth to just come out and say, Vince doesn't like you. He's mad at you. You're changing his shit. And he believes it's worse because you're changing it. And my calm, rational statement was, I have never supported Vince Russo in any way, shape, or form, but I've done my best for your company. And that's all I can say. So she said, well, the door is always open if things change and you can get 100% behind what we're doing.
Oh, my God.
I swear to God, she said that. I swear right now on my dead mother's grave that Dixie Carter said those words. And I responded to her by saying that will never happen if Vince Russo is involved, but if you ever get rid of him, call me back and I'd be glad to work with everybody else. So I just wanted to give her a chance to see if she would actually be honest and Terry Taylor, who knew what was going on. And see, this thing, I got cranky with Terry more I thought about it, even, weeks later, because he knew what was going on and just sat there and just didn't say anything. Well, that's it. So anyway, at that point, for once I knew, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't, take the baseball bat to anybody or anything or whatever the fuck. And Jeff's gone. Dutch is gone. The cause is lost. This guy shows no signs of going anywhere. I didn't know Hogan was going to come in and fucking start fucking with him, months later. But I'm driving to fucking Florida and back 20 times a year and sweating my balls off in that goddamn place and eating that fucking DoubleTree room service till I could smell it in my sleep, and just trying to counteract the fucking damage that this goof was doing with what he was writing on the show that we were trying to fix. So I was like, fuck, I've spent Jeff, I was mad at Jeff for a while because I quit 3 years ago. We could have saved all this. But anyway, I was like, all right, it's no fun anymore. The cause is lost. And come to find out, they never would be as successful as they had been that previous couple of years to this day. But then, boom, phone calls over. It wasn't fucking 2 hours. The news was on the internet that I'd been fired. And Brian, guess where from?
I don't know.
The Sun newspaper in England. When they'd done some of those shows, because they could draw in England when they first went, like 2007 or 8 or whatever, right? They drew decent houses. Somebody with the Sun and their online arm started doing wrestling coverage, and they had he was a stooge for the TNA office, somebody in it, wonder who, more on this in a minute, and would print stuff for them, and publicize their shit. Fine. Terry Taylor calls me. Within 2 hours, they know about it in fucking England, and it's on their goddamn website. They've already been able to write it up. I'm like, what the fuck? And again, this is 2009. I know everything's instantaneous now, but there was no Twitter. And besides that, we had a private phone conversation. Well, me and Terry and Dixie, right? And just instantly. And all right, but it was just the news that I'd been released. And then I can't remember how it was, honestly, how long it was, but not too long after that the story came out, what really happened. That I had been fired for blowing up at Vince Russo in a production meeting and screaming at him and acting unprofessionally. Do you remember the story, Brian, when it came out, right? But anyway, yes, the Sun, and people can look it up online, that I was screaming about, why are we pushing Eric Young? The whole deal with the match with Sting and Hernandez. I covered it in the Agent Report, the production meeting where Vince had booked these two top babyfaces against each other. He'd broken Sting's ribs with Rhino's gore. The heels are going to interfere. Sting is going to roll Hernandez up and beat him. I said it backwards the other way around last week, whatever. But this whole goddamn Gaga thing, I'd talked to him in the car on the way down on the cell phone for the only time ever. We can't do this. It's going to bury these guys and blah, blah, blah. Let's do this and that and the other. We worked out a change. I go there Monday. They've changed it back. We have the production meeting. I fucking argue with them and they change it back again. All the agents, Terry Taylor, Vince Russo, everybody sitting in the goddamn room. We're supposed to present a united front to the talent after what we decide in the production meeting, Brian. And the creative team has to go out and then everybody presents a united front. So we decided what we were going to do in the meeting and we went out and that's what we did. And I sent the agent report and everybody said, rah, rah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Then they called me and fired me. Then it's on the internet that they fired me within hours. Then shortly after, I've blown up at goddamn Russo because they had to come up with a story people would believe. Because it's entirely believable that I would scream and yell and threaten Vince Russo. And the specific match, why are we pushing Eric Young? Which I didn't say. I said, I said, why are we pushing Eric Young into the middle of this thing? Because he's going to lay both of our top guys out with a baseball bat and stand over him while cutting one of his promos at a goddamn snail's pace. But nevertheless, so now it's all, I fucking write Terry Taylor a letter. Because now I realize that they've had to come up because they couldn't just come out and say, and I didn't even know, truthfully. Oh, and one more thing I didn't know, but they had to come up with something to say rather than, well, we fired Cornette because he was fixing Russo shit and doing his job too good. So they had to come up with a reason because then the heat would go on dipshit. But also, something that I did not know was about to happen that happened right after that. And people would have again said, oh, now we understand why they fired Cornette. So they had to give the people a reason why they fired me, why they just couldn't put up with it anymore before this thing happened, which that's when they announced that Ed Ferrara would be working the next set of tapings as Shitstain's assistant.
Someone who would be 100% on board with the creative.
100% on board with the creative. So actually, I've got two letters here to Terry. And one of them is before that I heard about Ed Ferrara. And one of them is afterwards because, well, you'll see why. So basically, and this is somewhere between September. Yeah, I wrote this September 18th. And then Terry Taylor got back to me on the 22nd after the weekend. And then I wrote him back same goddamn day. But anyhow, this is the letter that I wrote him after they'd fired me. But also after the news had broke on the internet and after the story had come out on the internet that they fired me because I blew up and screamed at everybody, right? Where I'm still trying to be nice because at this point, I'm not really that mad at Terry Taylor. That would simmer over time as he became more of a feckless stooge that just sat back and did nothing. Terry, the events of this past week have caused me quite a few problems on the internet and elsewhere, and I would like to ask for your assistance. At the last TV tapings, I did my job as usual and received nothing but praise. I was not told anyone saw our finish meeting as anything unusual, and you yourself have said nothing unprofessional occurred. I filed my agent report covering everything I did on both taping days, including the meeting, and you emailed me it was a great report. 7 days later, you called to release me saying the company felt I wasn't 100% behind TNA's direction. This is the same thing Dixie said when I spoke to her Wednesday morning. Both calls were handled professionally by both sides. Dixie explained if I'm not 100% behind creative's direction, it could hamper my ability to do my job. I explained I've always been 100% behind TNA, but I can never be 100% behind Vince Russo. We ended our conversation amicably with her saying the door is always open if I can get behind it all the way. And me saying I'd love to return sometime if the situation changes. Within 2 hours after I was released, someone in the office had leaked it to the internet. When I talked to you Wednesday, you said it was a problem and you were trying to get to the bottom of it. But later Wednesday, okay, there's our timeline. It spread all over the internet that I was fired for being unprofessional, throwing a tantrum, and screaming at Vince Russo, complete with a made-up scenario of what happened in our finish meeting in question. You know as well as I do this never happened, but where could the basis of this fable come from, if not someone in the room? Because think about this, Brian. I don't know exactly how many and who, but it was the agents, me, Russo, Terry Taylor. Well, let's say there's 7 people in the room, 8 people, 6, but whatever. Where is this specific false story going to be? When nobody else, it wasn't a public meeting. Somebody had to tell the story. We were in a meeting where Cornette did this, that, and the other fucking thing, it had to come from somebody in the room telling somebody else that that's what happened. Correct? Is there another way around it when nobody else knew we were in there?
It would have to come from that room, and it would have to come from someone with a source at the Sun.
Or a son at the source. So, I continue. I've not made any detrimental statements about TNA or even commented publicly. I asked you yesterday morning if TNA or Dixie could issue a statement contradicting these rumors that there was no unprofessional conduct or blow-ups and I was released due to differences in creative direction. And you said you didn't think she'd have a problem with it. This was on a phone call. It's now Friday at 3 p.m., and I've heard or seen nothing but the same blow-up stories are being, because it was on every copy and paste website of the time at that point. So I said, I've worked hard for TNA for 3 years. I don't understand why this is being handled in this manner. I'm not asking for my job back. I'm asking for a truthful statement from TNA of why I was released. There were no blow-ups or unprofessional conduct. You've had time to FedEx me a termination letter, but I've yet to see one public statement from TNA that we parted amicably, which was my understanding. And I said, Stacey and I are going away for the weekend because it was my birthday, or the weekend after my birthday is my, no, it was my birthday week. Well, my birthday was Thursday. This was Friday the 18th, and we were going somewhere for the weekend. Anyway, I said, when I return on Monday, I'm going to have to address this publicly and rebut the internet stories. I would like to do this in as little detail as possible and move on, but it's hard to do when I'm the only one defending me. So anyway, finally, I'd appreciate it if by Monday afternoon, you or Dixie could email me a statement from TNA concerning my release that I can quote from or distribute that illustrates these rumors are false and attributes our amicable parting to creative difference. And I will not denigrate TNA and I won't attack Russo. But I don't appreciate being painted in this light. If I don't have something on Monday, I'll have to start defending my reputation as best I can. I know if we truly did have an amicable parting, I don't want to spoil it, but I need some cooperation from TNA. I know it's pay-per-view weekend, but 2 paragraphs wouldn't take long. Right? So could I have been any nicer? Do you think?
You're bending over backwards to not blow up.
Because, and you've seen me, I always try so hard that when I finally do, I've just let it go too far and it goes too far. So anyway, here is an email that I got on Tuesday morning. Well, he wrote it Tuesday at 2:48 a.m. on September 22nd, 2009. This is from Terry Taylor. Hope your weekend went well. We forwarded the UK Sun article with the retraction and accurate story. Is this what you were looking for? We're hoping that in the future we'll be able to work together again. Please let us know if there's anything else you'd like from us. And what they forwarded was a UK Sun article from in the same wrestling column. Brian, the story that was told that I was a complete batshit nut and screaming at people was quoted from an industry insider. That was the attribution on the quote from, the industry insider on what I did that was unprofessional. After plainly stating that I wanted a statement from Dixie and that Terry Taylor said she wouldn't have any problem with it, et cetera, et cetera. You know who was quoted as saying, no, everything was fine and nothing happened? A TNA source. A TNA source says the story we had wasn't true. Nothing happened. You motherfuckers. So I wrote Terry back when he asked, is this what you were looking for? Terry, actually, no, that's not what I was looking for. An industry insider told the Sun I was a raving lunatic and a TNA source told him I wasn't. with no other explanation of why I got fired. If the door is always open, people have to be asking why I got fired in the first place. There's nobody in the entire company with the balls to just come out and say, we picked Russo and Ferrara over Cornette, but Cornette did nothing wrong. Because over the weekend, that was the taping and the pay-per-view. That's when fucking shithead showed up. Ed Dreadlock Ferrara. Possibly still with some of my spittle running down his fucking cheek. Couldn't miss that fucking cheek anyway on that fat face. Nevertheless, I go back to my letter to Terry Taylor. I said, is there anybody with the company, the balls with the company to just come out and say it and actually put their name on it? Is there a reason you couldn't have just called me and said, we're hiring Ed Ferrara and given me the chance to quit without the embarrassment of being fired for no other reason? I now know that the TNA personnel planted both stories with the Sun, so I have to assume the unattributed retraction was sent just because of the email I sent you. And if I hadn't complained, that would have been the end of it, and you'd have just left me hung out to dry with people slandering me on the internet. Because think about that. When I come back again from the weekend, not only am I expecting some kind of somebody, even Andy Barton, saying, no, we loved working with Jim. But instead, I get the unnamed TNA source, and now they let me know because she didn't know, and Terry Taylor didn't bother to tell me on like Wednesday that Ed Ferrara was going to be there Saturday or Sunday. And the only reason, obviously, he said, I'm not going to be around Cornette. The last time I was, he spit in my face and cussed me out. And Russo had sold her, oh, I need help. I need help. No, a 5-year-old child could do the shows he was doing. All the rest of us needed help because of him, but he's the one that needed the help. But if Terry had called me and said, Ferrara's coming, he knew I would have said, you know what? Check, please. Jeff's gone. Dutch is gone. How to put up with this fucking guy? And now Ferrara? No. I tried to do this 3 years ago. You wouldn't let me. See ya. But they got to orchestrate this whole fucking thing. So I'll continue. And by the way, I go back to Lance Storm's comment at the time, trading Cornette for Ferrara on a wrestling show is like trading your house for a tent. I continue on. The fact is, I was let go not only because Russo knew I was a threat to his job because I illustrated at every taping that he doesn't know what he's doing, but also because he somehow convinced Dixie that Ed Ferrara is in some unknown way a benefit to a wrestling company. That's TNA's decision. And as I said, if I'd been offered the opportunity to step aside, I would have, without having to slander the company. I offered to do that for Jeff 3 years ago when he hired the guy. Instead, you made me a heel on the World Wide Web. The only regret I have about my tenure in TNA is promising Dutch and Jeff that I would coexist with the guy because I knew then how it would turn out. I just didn't know how long it would take. And then basically, yeah, I hope we'll be able to work together again because I still wasn't mad completely at him at the time. And I was frustrated because everybody deserved more than what they're getting there. Because that's when I had to say, okay, here's what goddamn happened. And started explaining to people what goddamn happened. And then Ferrara lasted 3 months, maybe. He quit and went back to whatever hole under whatever rock he occupies in the real world. And then by that point, Hogan was fixing to fucking run Russo off. And then he got so toxic, they had to hire him under the table. And the whole thing was a goddamn, 4, 5, 6 years of high school drama.
When did it come out that, I'm forgetting now how it emerged, the email where Russo sent to Dixie, was it before this or was it after this?
No, that was after in one of the lawsuits. That was a few years after that. There was a lawsuit. I can't remember which one it was or who was suing, but some of the emails came out where, he said, oh, well, Cornette looks like this and that. And boy, we ought to have some hot chick or whatever. And Jeff is too this and that and too wrestling. He was, from the time he got there, he just stabbed everybody in the back by going to the gullible leader who didn't know what they were doing. But and still, that's the thing. This will sound strange to some people because I'm the one who tells my own stories about when I've committed mayhem on people and taken a bat to shit, right? Because they're true and I have people know about them. So at least I'm going to tell you what happened. Does anybody out there think that I would be denying that I screamed and yelled and threatened at Vince Russo and had a meltdown if I actually did? The only time I didn't is they accused me of it to make me the heel so that they could get by with their fucking little scheme. And then it was a couple of months later that I wrote the famous letter that got me letters from their lawyer, and I've got on paper that Russo is in fear of his life for me for the first time. I mean, that was the first of two. But they said I violated confidentiality clauses, so I had it up on my website for a couple of years. Their lawyer's letter, the letter I wrote threatening, allegedly, they said Russo's life to Terry Stooge test. I said, I was trying to find shit on my new email thingy. I saw that Terry, now it's sunk in for 3 or 4 months. That weasel didn't say a goddamn word. He was in on it. He knew all along, wouldn't even tell me as a friend, that the guy was coming or what they were doing. And so I wrote him the Stooge test, the letter telling him what I really wanted to do to Vince Russo. And that's when he forwarded it to Russo and their lawyers. And they sent me the letter back from their attorney, who was an entertainment attorney, telling me that they'd reported me to the FBI. Oh, Christ.
You, at some point years later, I want to say, remember, I think it was before the podcast, or at least before I was doing it with you. Maybe I'm wrong, though. You made up with Terry Taylor at some point, didn't you?
I think I've talked to him a time or two. I believe this was, again, had to be 10 years ago or whatever. I believe I've seen him and talked to him, but he was still a weasel in this instance. But like Ole would have said, so many other weasels have come along that pissed me off so much worse. I don't think ill about Terry anymore that much. He was a great fucking worker. Wonderful wrestler. I'd known him at that point for 29 years. At that point, that was 15 years ago.
Did he get these jobs because he looked clean cut? Like he looked like an executive, or that he had any executive skill or talent, or, he just had the right friends?
No, he's very intelligent. He was very well spoken. He does look nice and clean cut, and he was diligent. He knew the wrestling business, but he was a good person for an office position where he would take instruction well as a good employee. He was not a person who was going to pound the desk or stand up for anything or lead anyone in a certain direction or be the head of booking or the head of whatever, but he was a polite employee.
But a weasel.
Yes. But not a thieving weasel like we sometimes talk about weasels, but,
To the best of your knowledge, all these years later, and obviously we don't know about Dixie, how many of these people have fallen out with Russo? Like Jeff and Russo aren't. Are they cool or are they not cool?
Oh, I mean, I don't think they'd start punching each other in the face, but I don't think they speak, and I don't think Jeff misses it. With Terry, I think he and Russo bonded over the God delusion. Because I don't know what happened to Terry, because when I knew him in the 80s, Dundee said it best. Terry Taylor, if somebody cracked your head open, little pussies would fall out of it. But then suddenly they're riding in the same car and they're having prayer meetings and they're doing the whole thing. And I mean, Russo, maybe Terry is genuine about it. Russo can't be genuine about anything. It's just genetically incapable. But whether he was, genuine about it or not, if one would think that a religion that's trying to show you the way to live would keep fucking assholes and goddamn leeches out of your car, but there they'd be. So I think they bonded over that.
And obviously, as it would bear out, you were the problem in TNA. Everything got better.
Everything got better.
Everyone got on the same page, and it really changed the company's trajectory.
Yes, they were on the same page as soon as the big wrestling star that had sued the fucking head of creative the last time they were together came in 2 months later. Well, things were peachy keen from that point on. Oh, fuck. That's what I'm saying. They had a graceful way out with me. And that's the thing. That's another thing I was mad about Terry, because Dutch knew, but he was gone. Jeff knew, but he was gone. Terry had known me for a long time. He should have known and told him, if we tell him Ferrara's coming, he'll just quit and he won't show up. Or if we tell him Hogan and Bischoff are coming, he'll just quit and he won't show up. And we don't have to slander anybody. But because I was about fucking, I was fed up with it anyway, but I said, God damn it. It became you know me, when I get a grudge. I've driven to fucking Florida 60 times over the last 3 years, and I've sweated and I've worked on this fucking thing. Plus, as an on-camera management director and all this other stuff I've done, I'll be goddamn if I'm going to quit now. I could outlast this son of a bitch. Sooner or later, he'll just have a stroke. It was something. So that's the only, I was like, I did this for 3 years for nothing. We ended up in the same place. I could have gone home 3 years ago when Jeff wouldn't let me. And I'd have saved 3 years of eating and gaining weight. That's what I was pissed about.
And then Hogan comes in, and the last image of Hogan on TNA was him like walking out on the ramp while Dixie was holding onto his leg.
Yes, and he was dragging her. Please don't go, Hulk. Please don't. Ah, fuck you, you trailer trash. I'm leaving you. Oh, Christ. Well, anyway.
Well, obviously, Jim will be honored this year at Slammiversary, entering the TNA Hall of Fame.
Yes.
In the email category, Jim Cornette.
Best emails of the year. Well, hey. Back in the old days when they taught the guys in the wrestling business, don't write shit down. It can't come back to bite you. It won't expose the business. Well, see, you wanted me to write shit. I just did as I was requested.
You should have just sent everyone that email that Terry Taylor sent you. Like, great, excellent, exclamation points.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I dropped the thing here. Hold on. Let me just see here. Wait. Oh. I threw it down. Oh, when he sent the report to, who'd I say? Who was on there?
Dixie, Russo.
Broadhead, Andy Barton, Dixie, Russo, Matt Conway. He sent the report to all of them, but where he said, awesome, 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 phenomenal. Thank you for your insight, hard work, and passion. We need to hear these things. He only sent that to me.
Politician. I'll say this again just because we're painting him in a bad light for his own behavior. I was at Terry Taylor's return in 1992 to the WWF, the Meadowlands. It's the opening match of the card, I think. And he gets in the ring, and he's now terrific Terry Taylor. And he gets in the ring. I can't explain it other than he gives that Terry Taylor arrogant face that must have gotten to Vince to get the gimmick. And he just goes to himself, I'm back. And you hear right away from the crowd, as soon as he said I'm back, it's one of the funniest things I ever witnessed live.
I'm back. Would you like a thigh, a leg, a breast?
A wing.
A wing. All right, but so then basically, Brian, I'd been excommunicated from TNA. I'd been fired. I'd been left unemployed. I needed work. For the sake of this, we'll overlook the fact that I started with Ring of Honor 11 days later. And I was all verklempt of what was I going to do? If only I had then what the people have access to now, and that's the wonders. That's the wonders that can be performed for your home-based business that wants to spread out worldwide when you do business with Shopify. Folks, I'll tell you what right now. You may just have a dream of starting your own crumpet business where you bake the crumpets and you frost the crumpets and you You decorate the crumpets, but how you going to sell them goddamn crumpets? You need a website. You need product descriptions. You need product photography. You need an online store, a platform. You need a marketing team behind you. Those crumpets ain't going to sell themselves. Let's say you're a bugle maker. You think that bugle's going to blow itself? It is not. Somebody's going to have to do the honking. And our favorite honkies over at Shopify can do all of that stuff because they're your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns. They'll ship it internationally. If it gets sent back, they'll send it again. They'll keep sending that shit until somebody takes it. They're literally going to go from door to door and try to make people buy whatever the fuck it is you're selling in the way of crumpets or bugles. And potentially, if you were to stick a crumpet in a bugle and blow real hard, then that could be deadly pastry.
Well, again,
you could get brain damage.
I don't know any.
I'm just thinking about in some of the countries like Switzerland, that could be some method of warfare because they're neutral. But if you were just blowing a crumpet out of a bugle at somebody, would that be considered violent?
I'm not exactly. An interesting concept, not necessarily one that has to do with the wonderful abilities and skills that Shopify brings to you and your businesses. We use Shopify for our online store for ArcadianVanguard.com to bring you fine drive-through t-shirts, and you can use them as well.
What about the experience shirts? When are those coming?
You just got to say when.
When? And it'll be on Shopify.
Well, you got to say when and also give me some notice and artwork and then. When you say when and then I'll say then.
Well, all right then. And Shopify is going to be selling them because Shopify, if you want to sell your bugles, crumpets, or t-shirts, is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States is connected up to Shopify. They're spreading. The tentacles are growing around the world, gripping the competitors tightly. And said, did you hear Shopify is going to they're going to buy Amazon next week? Did you hear about they go out and buy?
Let's not say that. That's not true.
Well, no, you need to go out and buy 100,000 or so shares of the Shopify stock.
I don't know if they have stock. I don't even know if they're listed. Let's not tell people. They don't have to do any of this. What you got to do is sell your goods with Shopify.
You mean they're not a public company? I thought they had it right out there in front of the open window with the curtains wide open where you could see it. Well, boy, I'll tell you what, I want to invest in Shopify, and I can do that by giving them my business because they will then turn around and give me the business. And then there you go. You can turn your big business idea into, where's that sound effect, Brian? Watch that kid on a bicycle. Give me the... Oh, that was it. That's right. That's what you're going to hear is the ringing sound of bells ringing, syndicating sales made. That's a sales bell. It was a bell made specifically for sales, and that's what you're going to get when you go to Shopify and turn your big business idea into cha-chings. Sign up for your $1 a month trial period right now and start selling today at shopify.com/JCE. That's /JCE. That's how you get the $1 a month trial period. Otherwise, they're gonna say, well, fuck you. Who do you think you are asking for services from us for only $1? We're a big international multi-conglomerate. But if you know me, you get $1 a month trial period. And then you can start selling today. Well, if you've got the idea and the pictures and the whole thing and you get a hold of them, and you might make it today, but I'd shoot for Tuesday. Shopify.com/JCE to make all that cha-ching money. All righty. Well, before we move along, we are going to have another cast media update next week on the program for the folks. On one of the programs, we're coming up on Saturday night's main event and the stadium in Texas and all that stuff. So, but next week on one of the programs, we'll have the cast update.
We may have to do a podcast one update too as a part of one of these because, they're doing what every business does when things are going really well. They're doubling down on their crypto involvement. So we'll have more about this on a later installment.
Do we know where their stock is at these days? Have we checked that lately?
I don't think it's left home. I don't think it's left where it's been, but
maybe their stock all has dysentery and hoof and mouth disease. That's what the problem is.
Well, Warren Buffett has always said, if the stock's not moving, go to crypto. So we'll see what happens here. More to come.
Speaking of collapsing businesses and failing enterprises, you want to go to AEW now for the big AEW 300 episode? Whew. You know, there have been 7,500 episodes, I bet, of Meet the Press. I'm not sure anybody wants to go back and watch more than one or two of them. But they were in Ontario, California, right up the road from Cucamonga. So the Buckaroos got to go home and actually do a little travel log for us. But somebody on Twitter, Brian, put up the numbers and goddamn, and I lost it. I couldn't find it again. So the data is there if you'd like to search for it, anyone. But it was a comparison of the viewership of AEW 100, 200, and 300. And I know we're going to do the ratings for this one later on, but they started at 1 million plus for 100, and they were still at 800,000 plus for 200. And I bet you they didn't make 800,000 for 300. I'll put that money down right now. We'll talk about it later.
No, and there's been like this argument that, AEW's up. The numbers are up. Tony just said it in Cannes, and Dave Meltzer said it. That if you look at it
in the can.
Well, I think then they try to say that if you look at it year over year, they're up. And then people are like, wait a minute, what? That doesn't make any sense. But specifically, the example I saw the other day was if you look at the fourth quarter of 2024 versus the second quarter of 2025, there are parts that are up.
Okay.
It's nonsensical.
And I know some people are, but they're on the max. They're on the max. They weren't on the max between 100 and 200 when they lost a couple of 100,000. So we'll see where the max leads them now. Anyway, the opening contest, actually not a contest, the opening segment, it was a contest between my eyes as to whether I could keep them open or not, was Hangnail Page coming to the ring and doing his promo about the big AEW world title match and his chance at Dick the Boozer. And he had his stink face on as usual, but he had some conviction to this. He called it the AEW Men's World Championship again, which again is such odd terminology that nobody else says. Do we think he's going for Mercedes until we realize it's the men's title he's talking about? What is he confused somehow as to which one he should be going for? But anyway, while I thought that this was still kind of memorized, overly dramatic material that he comes up with in his head, he gave it more oomph than normal. He didn't fumfer. And as I said, he had some conviction in his voice, so it wasn't bad. And he wants to make it a Texas death match at All In. It's the first match they've had. Did they wrestle each other a few years back? Whatever. This is the big, why do they need to make this match the ultimate blow-off match? Not like I want to see it again either, but you see what I'm saying, Brian?
Yeah. Well, even
can't they just have a fucking match?
But even if you did want to make it that, I think there needed to be more reasoning for it to be a Texas death match other than, I've decided it should be this.
Well, they're in Texas. So what else could it be? So he wants to make it a Texas death match. Well, then here comes Dick the Boozer and Marina Shafir, and they stagger on through the crowd, and they get the ring, or into the ring, and at least Moxley does. Every time he gets in the ring, he brings the energy level down some way, doesn't he? Because he's feeling like he's being so intense because he's so into this character that nobody understands, nobody gives a shit about, and he's a wannabe tough guy. But he's so into it that he thinks he can take the dramatic pauses or the verbal meanderings around the fucking mulberry bush, and everybody's going to hang on it, I guess, because that's the way he's acting. But in the meantime, he never fucking says anything that he says a lot. But if you write it down and try to figure it out afterwards, and he says Page won't win because he doesn't want to win. There's too much pressure. You can't handle that. You really don't. You want the secondary title. And the fans were chanting, shut the fuck up. I think they meant it. And then he wants to take a joust, I guess, at apparently Moxley's still butthurt at Punk's existence. I don't know what else could have come. Because Punk, has he had the occasion to speak of Moxley? Or did Moxley just throw it in? People call themselves the best in the world. Well, that's basic bitch shit. I'm so much more than that. What? You're not even that.
It's weird because you could tell it was a forced line, and it was one that he thought about, and he had the line ready, but then he kind of stumbled out of it. It was the only time.
Well, yeah, he gave it, and then he started to try to get back into his promo, and he fumfered because maybe he was just proud of himself. But besides the fact that verbally he's throwing rocks at a man with a machine gun, what is the purpose? Otherwise than they're just still butthurt that the guy that could draw him some ratings left. Anyway, he rambled for a while and he strained like he was constipated. And then he told Page that a Texas death match would be the end of it. And then Page gave him a pissy girl slap that didn't look even as good as the girl that actually slapped Page here in a minute. But he slaps Moxley. Moxley staggers and sells that and then double legs him and they have a fight. And old Wheeler comes in and nails Page, and Shafir comes in, and that's when she slapped him harder than Page slapped Moxley, and then twice, and then 3, 4, and 5 times. And then Page just stood there like, I really want to do something to you. Claudio came in. They tackled Page. They got some sloppy and stationary heat on him, ripped his clothes off, gave him a big pedigree, and left him laying in the ring, right? And they walk out. And then Page gets back up and gets the microphone. Is that the best you can do? Have you had enough yet? Do you want some more? I used to do that as a heel line for the manager to get his heat back. I'd get up off my face, blown up, having had the shit kicked out of me. I said, have you had enough yet? So then Claudio goes back, but Samoa Joe is there at ringside to block him off. And then Hobbs joins Joe, but Marina Shafir comes in and swings the case at Page. But Page grabs it. And then he tells Moxley to okay the Texas death match. And I'm like, this is fucking endless. And Moxley says, okay, because now he's pissed and he leaves. And then Page talks more. And Marina Shafir is obviously standing in the ring for no reason. All her people have left. She's got her back turned to Page and she's not moving. And then Page says, oh, I forgot one thing. And then jumps over the top and she turns around and he buckshot lariats her. And that gets a big pop because she's been doing all this shit to the guys for so long. Yes, anybody gets their hands on her, that's Wrestling 101. But now have we established that we can have a 230-pound guy buckshot lariat a woman on national cable television? This is the same network that sent us a memo in WCW 35 years ago about gratuitous violence on the gratuitous violence program.
You weren't allowed to use the term foreign object.
That's where the term international object came from. But it was so Marina got buckshotted and they're going to have a Texas death match and all this. What else can Moxley do? He can't be constrained by the rules of an athletic endeavor. Elsewise, a Home Depot guy chokes him out in a 2-man jiu-jitsu tournament.
if that's the last match of the night, too, they're going to have the crowd all burned out by the time they even get to it.
Well, they could put it on early. Actually, you know what? How about this? I'm going to give right now Tony Khan, because he's got the budget. He can do anything. Have 2 rings. And in one ring, have the Texas death match and have it go 62 falls and last for 4 hours and 15 minutes. In the ring next to it, have the rest of the goddamn show at the same time. And it could be the first time that one match lasted longer than an entire card, but you don't have to keep the people there for 9 hours. What do you think?
Man, that Moxley promo was nonsensical. He's coming out there, the big bad heel. His issue with Page is that he doesn't want it bad enough. He's like, you're not bad. The guy burned another guy's fucking house down on TV. And he's about to clothesline your valet. So, I mean, the argument, it was just ridiculous. Of all the issues to raise.
He's a blood drinker, for God's sake.
Of all the issues to raise, that was the one Moxley went with? The whole, I want you to be better. You have to want it more. You're happy. What the fuck? What an idiot.
So I can't wait for that contest there at the big pay-per-view.
AEW has really been pushing it with the violence, with the action from men and women. They were teasing it with Willow and Wheeler Yuta. I think Moxley did something to Willow. This was the baby face giving his finisher. It wasn't like, oh, someone got out of the way. No, he intended to do it. It's a very interesting strategy.
Well, but here, and it got a pop. Here's the thing. They're probably safe with this because anybody watching this program now, it knows what they're watching and doesn't give a shit because it's all wrestling and it's the silly, phony wrestling crowd. And every wrestling crowd will pop on the heel valet getting the shit knocked out of her if she's got it coming because she's done all these things. But nobody's going to call the goddamn network out of this crowd. Nobody, no innocent bystanders are watching this program at this point. So it's hard to think that anything they do will offend the people that are watching because they already know if the fucking presentation of the wrestling doesn't offend them, probably nothing else is going to. That's my belief. But sooner or later, the guy from Bristol Myers or fucking Campbell's Soup or whatever the fuck is going to goddamn accidentally see something and go, what in the hell is going on?
See, that's the thing. It's one thing the AEW fans accepting it, and you have to wonder if they would accept it if it was on the other show. But if WWE did something where Seth Rollins gave a curb stomp to Rhea Ripley, would sponsors speak up? Would fans be in outrage?
More sponsors than fans, they don't want to chance it because with a lot of these big corporations paying millions of dollars, you can't just, well, I'm sorry, we won't do it again. Well, you know, we had second thoughts about this whole thing to begin with, this crazy fucking shit you people do. So, but anyway, you know what? Here's the thing though, instead of just doing it for free, you could have goddamn worked a deal that's the first time anybody's really gotten Marina. So you could have worked a deal where so-and-so beats Moxley. He gets 5 minutes with Marina. And people would pay to see that. And then fucking clothesline her and knock her silly. It just, here on TV for free, right before we go, boom. Let's get the first babyface shot at the girl that's beat up every man on the roster.
See, I think they can get away with that because it was not spontaneous, but it was something that kind of happened in the moment. If they actually had it as a stipulation for a match, I think that's where people would probably...
No, then it's on pay-per-view.
No, people would say that's a step too far, I think.
Oh, good God.
I do. I think that, yeah.
If he did the same exact thing, I'm not saying beat her up for 5 minutes and then give it to her. I'm saying just do the same thing on pay-per-view with the people knowing that there's a tease, there's a chance that he's going to get his hands on Marina Shafir and make her pay for all that stuff, and then do the same goddamn thing. $1 shot, boom, and there you go.
I think it would be a draw if you could do it, but if you did it, the outcry would be too much, I think.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Well, you know what's too much on my outcry? Mina Melons versus Mercedes Moon. The very first match And it seemed to go forever on Fast Forward. And of course, Tony Storm and her butler, Loopy, or whatever his name is, were at ringside. And Mercedes won with a sloppy small package from the wrong side. So she managed to get a double there. Two different. How can you fuck up a goddamn small package two different ways in the same small package? And then Mercedes hit Mina again. And Brian, did you notice? Well, I don't even know whether you watched this, but Mercedes goes back and attacks Mina while she's down, and the male referee got scared and jumped out of the ring in fear. Oh, shit. Did you see that?
I actually did not notice that, no.
I did. It was like, again, it was like fucking Abdullah the Butcher had come with a goddamn saber from behind. Oh, shit. He dove out like, I don't want to get in the middle of this. It's too much for me. What the fuck? So then Storm came in to help Mina up after Mercedes had hit her. And then Mercedes came from behind Tony Storm and hit her in the back of the head with the belt. And then got out there and got Tony's champagne and threw it in Luther's face. And he stood there useless. And she left. So now he's Tony Storm's butler, but this chick has just whacked Tony Storm in the back of the head with a 20-pound title belt and come down and start fingering Tony Storm's dinner and drinking her champagne right in front of him. He ain't going to say boo to her. Then she throws the shit in his face and then walks off. So what good is he? Did you like the comedy travelogue video of the Hardley Boys in the limo full of sneakers, riding around their hometown, going back to their grade school? Which, by the way, two things. Number one, it had to be a day school wasn't in session, because if they'd have seen Matt and Nick Jackson in the fucking school grounds, they'd have put them back in class where they belong, at the grade school. And secondly, and most importantly, for heaven's sake, I still need some type of proof that they graduated grammar school. I think they need to show us their papers. Does anybody think these videos are any good where they're just making smarmy remarks to each other to amuse each other? And they've wasted money for a camera crew to go out and shoot them driving around in a limousine that Tony rented and do nothing entertaining?
A camera crew.
Nothing.
Brandon Cutler.
There was no point to this. They didn't even pay it off with anything. It was just them. Them.
You know, there's a reason people stopped watching their show before they stopped doing it on YouTube. But that was the thing that kind of put them a little bit over the top with their fan base, was doing the same kind of smarmy, douchey, not good comedy, not good entertainment shows or videos like they just did there. It's terrible. They entertain themselves. If they weren't on this show, the whole Founding Fathers EVP things, you know, all that shit is getting pushed now because of all the pushback of how they don't mean anything. And they mean nothing. It's just bad stuff with these guys.
Well, we'll get to the big stipulation in a second, see if we can unravel that. But we had to go through. So now we've established, apparently they've established, that MJF and the Hurt Syndicate are the only stars in the company. Because they have to, whenever they go out, the segment never ends. The segment never ends, baby. The view never changes. It goes on and on. They keep introducing more and more people into a segment to give them some kind of rub. I don't know what is happening here, but it never ended. And they started with the four-way match for the number 2 spot in the all-in casino gauntlet match for a guaranteed shot at the world title. So they could advertise MJF wrestling this week. MJF versus AR Fox versus Anthony Bowens versus Brody King. Is it just they think you can put anybody in a match and it doesn't matter? Or are these Is there no one on the roster that people will buy as actually being a threat to the world title? And so they got to put just 3 filler guys in this with MJF, who isn't Merlin the Magician. But they started, when they started the match, MJF went to color and got on the micro or on the headset, and I'm going to let the idiots kill each other. And I'm almost thinking that they were trying to get out of Tony Khan's booking like I would try to fix Russo's, where like if MJF is in this, it's no DQ, it's no count out. Go to the desk and talk. Let them do shit. And they're trying to make the most out of this that they can. But then finally he had to get in and start doing some shit back and forth with these fucking. Did you see AR Fox try to flip over the ropes to land on the other guy, and he got hung up and flipped himself back into the ring accidentally.
Was it accidentally, or is that kind of his thing? He just flips for no reason.
Well, no, he landed on his feet back in the ring, but he intended to, he didn't mean to, though. He was trying to go out of the ring. So once he realized he was flipping back into the ring, he was able to land on his feet. But if he'd had his preference from the start, he would have been out stomping the guy on the apron. But he got hung going over the top and went backwards. I said, so when MJF got off color and started doing spots with the kids, I fast forwarded to the finish. And MJF armbarred AR Fox to win the thing, as obviously, who could have thought he wasn't? But then Mark Briscoe comes out. And I got to admit, at least I want to see Mark Briscoe and MJF in a program with each other, multiple matches, do promos back and forth. It's a lot better than the alternative of the rest of the dreck we're seeing. I wish that they had given Mark better booking behind him for the last 2.5 years or so that this would be a main event pay-per-view match. But I'll take it. But he's cutting a promo about MJF's tiny little kosher pickle, and that they're number 1 and number 2 in the Gauntlet. And Mark is good, but he challenged MJF for a talk next week. Leave the Hurt Syndicate out. Just me and you. Let's talk next week. Okay. And he left. Is that the first time you've ever heard of a specific challenge between two guys that were already face-to-face talking?
They were already talking, yeah.
To continue to talk next week face-to-face. I've heard the challenge, hey, show up next week. You're not here tonight. Show up next week, and we'll be face-to-face. I've heard that one.
That should have been MJF's reply. We're already talking.
Yeah. But anyway, so next week they're going to talk. And then Briscoe left and music played, and here came Kevin Knight and Hong Kong Phooey. I swear to God. And they're coming down the aisleway all fired up like they want to fight the Hurt Syndicate. And they jump in and they get a little flurry at the start. Spitball shit is so weak. Either the first blows he was trying to strike, it's like a child playing wrestling. And they did a couple of dives, and then the Hurts took over and beat the shit out of them. Just beat and left them laying. And then they start to leave. The Hurts do. And then the same angle as segment 1. The baby faces crawled to their knees and said, no, we haven't had enough. Page just did this, right?
Couple segments
Hold on,
ago.
let me go back to, hold on, my notes. It says, Page, yeah, is that the best you got? After getting the shit kicked out of him, they come and kick the shit out of him. So they said, is that the best you got? We're still standing. So MVP sent them back, and they goozled these two idiots and double power bombed them. And they started to leave the ring again, and the fans started lightly chanting one more time. Because why wouldn't you? Because who likes these two jabroni goofs? And then, again, the baby faces stagger up And so we're still here. And the Hurts come in and just beat the shit out of them. That's a third time, right? Just kicked the bejesus out of them, boom, boom, and stacked them up and left again. And fucking hell, the faces got the microphone. We're still alive. You're going to have to kill us. And then after that, Kevin Knight called Shelton Benjamin a bitch and challenged him for a one-on-one match for Collision. Yeah, I want to see this. Not only are we going to kick the shit out of the two of you for the fifth time in this match at the pay-per-view, but also I'll kick the shit out of you all by myself, all by yourself on the B show. What the fuck is going on here, Brian?
Oh, I don't know. And it almost seems like they're setting it up for Jet Speed to win the tag titles, but that would be the stupidest thing to do. A makeshift tag team that was put together with a bad name. And again, I know their fans like Speedball. I think Kevin Knight ain't bad, but Speedball,
he's dragging him down.
I enjoy watching Speedball for all the wrong reasons. Like, I don't need to see him in a great match. I enjoy watching him just because it's a clown show. It's a
somebody's claiming those are his real teeth, by the way, instead of a mouth thing.
No way. No, it's a mouth guard. It's absolutely a mouth guard.
Well, somebody said it.
Who is this person?
Somebody on Twitter. So they got to be right. Go ahead.
Do you want to see that tag match?
No.
And how competitive could it be after all these beatings?
Well, that and also that's the thing is the Hurts are over. And they have nobody on the roster that they can book them with that the people would want to see, that they would buy against them, that would be in any kind of way a good match or a money match. And they're sticking them in with these indie fucking darlings. It's a mess. And then after they beat the shit out of them multiple times, you have to kill us. And also, how about me and you on Collision? What the fuck? The Hurts look cool and kick-ass and like stars, and the baby faces are goofy nerds the size of children whose work looks like shit and they can't whip anybody.
Yeah.
And therefore, nobody gives a shit. I don't have much plainer to say it. Hour and 10 minutes into the show, and this is all we've seen so far. But in an hour and 10 minutes, they could repeat the same angle twice. Is there a producer? Is there any? Well, no, there are producers, but the guys don't listen to the producers from what I'm told. But there is no main show producer. It should be Tony's job if he's the booker or somebody that he hires to make sure they don't do the same angle in 3 different goddamn finishes. But that's the way you determine whether can we do this? Well, hold on. If 3 people want to do the same thing, one's main event, one mid-card, one fucking preliminary, guess which one wins? The next match was Heroes and Villains. Brian, did you see the big Superman movie tie-in?
Oh, they already do the video at this point in the show with Omega and MJF or not yet?
I don't know because I didn't make any notes on it because I was just I know I saw it.
Yeah, the actor who plays the new Superman, the actor who plays Lex Luthor, they both towered over the wrestlers.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. Yeah, the actors were 6 inches taller than both of the wrestlers, and MJF is not a fucking giant. We know that, but the Superman guy, who now facially these actors look like. They wouldn't fucking say boo to Mother Teresa. They're not like intimidating, but they're tall. And the Superman guy was 6 inches taller than Kenny. Or is he just stooped over since they took his guts out?
This is the first time we've seen Kenny since he got hospitalized. And he's out there with a cape on, standing next to Superman. I know he'd be out there at the end of the show, but this is the first time we saw him since he got attacked.
He looked like a real swashbuckler. The cape, he could have. If he'd had a top hat and a cane, he could have fucking turned into Mr. Hyde.
His head always looks like it's about to explode. If you look at pictures of him, like, it looks like it's like bloated to the point where it's going to explode at any second. I don't know. That's another one of my thoughts I had there.
Yes, well, jot those all down so we don't forget any of them. But back to heroes and villains. I don't know which was which here. It was Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bandito versus the Hardley Boys and Take a Shit. And their travelogue was already over. I thought we were going to see some payoff. They just did a video outside their grammar school and showed the limo full of sneakers. But anyway, they had a 6-man tag sponsored by a comic book with the corpse referee. So, and I just said, well, this is where the kids are going to get to play.
A movie, not a comic book.
A movie of a comic book.
Right.
Can they do it in less than 20 minutes was my question. And son of a bitch, they did it in 12. And I appreciate that because you saved a lot of us a lot of time and just duress. So they beat O'Reilly. And then, of course, nothing's ever over in this company. So they're going to get more of their heat. But Ospreay and Swerve hit the ring and ran them off. And then they started doing the fucking dueling promo to promote their match where they're going to try again to explain to us the stipulations. Because remember last week, it was, wait a minute, the EVP titles are on the line. So what does that mean that the winners, if Swerve and Ospreay win, are they EVPs? What's going on? Well, they're going to clear this up right now.
Oh, that's my favorite part. I was thinking about the other part. I forgot all about that explanation. Who's going to be the EVPs if they win?
Yeah. Well, I think it was an explanation, or maybe it was just something he blurted out because the baby faces wanted the stipulations of the EVP spots being up. And again, only one person runs this. It's Tony Khan. They've established that, but these guys are still EVPs and get away with things for some reason, even though Tony Khan's always on the premises, but he doesn't say anything. But then later on, he'll book a match in 10 seconds. So at first, it was Swerve first that said, a lot of people are saying that if we win, we get to be the EVP. No, if we win, we aren't going to be the EVPs. The people, you fans are going to be the EVPs. Is that official? If Swerve and Ospreay win, then does that mean that the fans are all EVPs and they all get to come to the production meeting? But then the Bucks do the promo. No. Besides, you guys can't get along. And I don't think Swerve's on board, but also we ain't going to do this because what do we get out of it? Well, then Ospreay comes up with something and he goes over and he whispers to Swerve and Swerve gets the stink face like, what? And Ospreay blurts it out that I don't know what still happens to the EVPs, but if Ospreay and Swerve lose according to Ospreay, then neither he nor Swerve can challenge for the world title for 1 year. What the fuck does the world title have to do with the fuck in this? Neither of the Bucks is the world champion. What do they give a shit about? Help me, Brian. If you guys beat us, then we won't fight other people. But if we win, then the fans get to be the EVPs and you're not.
Why does it help the Bucks if these guys are not world champion?
Exactly. Why would they care? It's not their belts.
And they didn't even say world tag. At first I thought maybe they made a mistake and they meant we won't challenge for the tag team titles because obviously.
But they're not the tag team champions.
Exactly. I mean, even that part doesn't make sense, but neither one of us will challenge for the world title.
Neither one of us will fight another guy if you guys beat us. But if we beat you, then you can't be EVPs anymore and tell people what to do. So the Bucks agree to that. Ospreay talked Swerve into it, by the way. Swerve still wasn't real on board with the whole thing. But Swerve said yes, and they're like, okay, it's a deal. And then, for whatever reason, the screen went black and the audio went completely out for like 10 seconds, and then they came back as Swerve and Osprey were talking to each other and pitched to the break. Did someone flash the camera with their boobages?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in a multitude of ways. I don't know what happened.
Yes. So they're going to have that match, and those things are going to happen in that match if one of those things happens. That's what we know.
And again, why can't Tony Khan just override any part of this? Why does he allow this all to happen? That's never been explained, especially after they beat him up. Why do the Bucks have any of this power?
Because it makes a good story they came up with for themselves.
I guess it's more enjoyable if you don't try to make things or have things make sense.
Well, but it's always better if you understand what the fuck it is that you're watching in the way of a fake story. Speaking of wondering what you're watching in the way of a fake story, then to make sure that we know that the movie is titled Heroes and Villains, they had another Heroes and Villains match with Swerve and Osprey against Dralistico and Frank Mortis. And they beat old Dralistico in 10 minutes. And they beat both. They double teamed old Frank Mortis, and he rolled out of the ring, and then they just kicked the shit out of the other guy. They kind of overbeat him. But anyway, are you ready, Brian, for our main event of the evening? A main event that I watched in its entirety.
That's one of the big questions. Did Jim actually watch the match?
I had to see what... It's sort of like I had to see what they had to say for themselves. Are these two going to in any way try to earn their money, work hard, get over, add to the program, or are they going to sleepwalk through this shit with as little effort as possible? And I believe we now have our answer. The big main event on television, and I can't wait to hear the ratings. Ibushi versus Oblada. The Battle of the Sleepwalkers. Brian, I have a blow by blow here. But what was your overall opinion? I don't want to sway you in any way. I want you to tell me what you thought of this dream match between these two spry Japanese superstars.
I think Ibushi has the worst facial expressions I've ever seen on a wrestler. Okada's been completely unimpressive. I wanted to see this to see if it could be anything, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it could be at its worst. So that's a positive, because we've seen Ibushi fall apart.
Oh yeah, he wasn't like a leprosy victim where pieces of him were just falling off.
And I'm sure when Tony was writing out dynamites in his head, he jerked off all over the place the idea of episode 300 having Ibushi versus Okada. That was probably a big deal.
And it was a big deal to some of the people there at the start. I mean, I don't know how it could have been a big deal after they saw it. But, some of these people have blinders on as far as if you're a big baseball fan, but if Babe Ruth came out to at bat when he's 92 years old and when he swung the bat, he fell over, would you still go, this is awesome? So Okada opened up with stalling. Thought I was watching a Japanese Larry Zbyszko, and their lockups were flat-footed. They looked like wrestling school lockups. Or just boom. And then Okada took 2 chops and rolled out and took a walk. And then Okada kind of gingerly stopped Ibushi and used some weak elbows at a slow pace. Ibushi kicked him. He took 1 bump and rolled out. Ibushi dove on him as he stood there waiting to catch him. Then Ibushi walked all the way around the ring for no apparent reason to come back for Okada to stop him. And they fought on the floor in slow motion. And, and they went to the break. And they came back and they were still in slow motion. Okada shot Ibushi off turnbuckle to turnbuckle. And Ibushi looked like he almost tripped and couldn't run to turn. And I mean, it was either Ibushi with the stiff kicks that were slow because he just draw back and whack. Okay. But then he tries the fast ones and they look like shit. Okada hit, I've never seen a flapjack in slow motion before. And in the interest of keeping things logical, he gave Ibushi a flapjack and then slapped on a wrist lock. I mean, he body slammed him, and that elbow drop off the top rope is now. I'm sorry, I know not everybody can be Bobby Eaton. I'm not expecting poetry in motion, but he just crumples off the goddamn top rope and lands at a clunk clunk. I wrote there hadn't been a facial expression between the two of them. Okada did some slow fake forearms. Ibushi at one point fought back with, he was trying to do like boxing or MMA punches, and while Okada just covered up his head with his hands, and either they didn't land or they looked like play fighting. It made Shane O'Mac look like Mike Tyson. Then one guy hits a clothesline. They both lay there for 30 seconds. What the fuck? Nobody's sweating here. They got a big pop. They struggled to balance on the top rope, and then Ibushi gave Okada something off the top rope that got a big pop because it looked like a fuck up. Oh shit, that was dangerous. And he got a 2 count with that. So that was a big move off the top that he hit fucking Okada with, and everybody, oh, he's dead. And then the next move, Ibushi goes for, Okada countered it. He was fine. He got up, hit him with a clothesline, a drop kick, and a clothesline, and beat him 1, 2, 3. So the most severe reaction to any move and the biggest bump that anybody took in the whole match, the guy that took it immediately got up, clothesline, drop kick, clothesline, 1, 2, 3. If you put masks on these guys and change their names and put this same exact match out there in front of people, even the AEW fans would have booted out of the building. And I'm sorry, I want some son of a bitch out there to clip together the parts of this match that look in any way like a classic goddamn wrestling confrontation between any top star and any other top star in history. Just put it next to Ric Flair and Ronnie Garvin trading fucking chops for 20 seconds. What the fuck? The laziest, lack of effort, sloppy work, slow motion movement, lack of emotional investment on the part of the participants, and flat finishes. And then here go Archer and Rocky and Don Fallis get in and get some more heat on Ibushi. And then the music plays and Kenny runs out with a chair and runs the heels off. Except Trent comes into the ring from behind with a police baton. But Ibushi, who just got beat by this guy's fucking various moves, gets up and stops him, and they double team Trent. And then Kenny and Douchey hug as we go off the air. Which, by the way, was about 8 minutes late. Am I being overly dramatic here? Or am I being fairly descriptive?
I think it's fair to say that Ibushi and Okada are washed up. If you've seen any of their previous work from 10 plus years ago, these are not the same guys, and the environment's not the same environment. I was surprised this was the main event. Did you see the post-match footage, the off-air footage of, I don't even know how to describe it.
I did not. So
Omega standing next to Ibushi, and Ibushi took a bump right onto a chair intentionally, hit his head on the chair, and then just got up and walked away. Because the post that was going around was like, look at this idiot. Look at him fucking up his neck on his own.
Well, what I don't have any idea why that would have been a thing that would have happened. I'm very confused now. He just took his own bump on a chair and then got up and left.
That is indeed what happened. I'll see if we can find some footage for you, but that was AEW Dynamite, another banner episode.
Yeah. And again, there's a difference between being washed up and washed up on shore. This looks like goddamn floating corpse matches. I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Well, Jim, no reason to apologize. That was another AEW Dynamite. Maybe other people have a reason to apologize. But why don't we talk about the ratings?
Well, that's the big question. This was show number 300. They had to go all out for this, right? With the dream match with Doofus and Doofus 2 and all this other stuff. So they had to do a big number.
Well, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025 from Ontario, Canada. Excuse me, not Canada, Ontario, California. It's Ontario, CA. I read it as Ontario, Canada.
You've heard of the other white meat? This is the other Ontario.
8 to 10:08 p.m. on average, watched by 584,000 viewers.
Ouch! Well, they came back from Mexico and came back to somewhat of a little reality last week, but this is reality bites.
That's right. A movie from the 90s, but let's go to these ratings.
And love
here.
hurts.
Jim, let's go to
love
these.
Love hurts, reality bites. Love also stinks. Love stinks and hurts. Did you know that? Whereas reality only bites.
All right, well, little do we know about what Peter Wolf would have thought of this week's Dynamite, but Jim, let's go to the quarter-hour breakdowns. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The Adam Page, Death Rider, Samoa Joe live angle, 687,000 viewers.
Ooh, okay. Two things. One, they're still starting out low, and two, they're going to drop some if they started at that number and to hit their average. So this could be back to normal for an episode of Dynamite.
We go now to quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Mercedes Moné versus Mina Shirakawa. Well, picture. Picture ads and bad audio, at least on our part. 593,000 viewers.
All righty, so we're second quarter. We're already under 600. They lost 94,000 people.
Well, we go now to quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The continuation of Moné versus Mina. The post-match with Tony. The Young Bucks video. An ad break.
Moni.
And the Young Bucks video, it was the second time. Came back from a commercial break with more Bucks video. And entrances. 592,000 viewers.
So they're pretty flat there, but they haven't actually seen the Cucamonga kids in the place. That should run them off.
There's an interesting story here on this episode, too, with the key demo. So just real quick, opened at 242, went to 232, now down to 211. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. AR Fox versus Bowens versus MJF versus Brody with picture-in-picture ads. And the post-match with the Hurt Syndicate and Mark Briscoe. 589,000 viewers.
And again, they only lost 3,000, so they've stayed 593, 592, 589. The folks that are there are not yet saying fuck it. But also now we've got MJF and Hurt Syndicate around. We should, I would think, gain something at the top of the hour.
Well, we go to the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m., quarter 5. The Hurt Syndicate Jet Speed live angle.
Maybe they won't gain.
An ad break. And the start of Takeshita and the Young Bucks versus Bandito and Paragon. 577,000 viewers.
Yeah. 12,000, but at the top of the hour to see those folks, no.
Well, we go to quarter 6, 9:15 and 9:30 p.m. The continuation of Takeshita and the Bucks versus Bandito and the Paragon, or just Paragon. Picture-in-picture ads. The post-match with Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. 576,000 viewers.
Good Lord, remarkably fat. Once they flat. Once they pick a number, they stay at 593, 592, 589, now 577, 576. And again, I'm seeing there needs to be some attrition here in the next couple of quarters for them to make their average. They're going to start dropping like flies.
And once again, the key demo, the last time I gave you the number was 211, then it was 198, 197, 198. So steady, it dropped and then it stayed steady, just like the real show. Or just like the overall number, not the real show. Quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. An ad break. Swerve and Ospreay versus Drolistico and Mortos. With picture-in-picture. 523,000 viewers. Also, the low point in the key demo at 179.
Ouch, and that's another 53,000 people, and now they're officially down 164,000 from start to that point. And they can't have they're going to do themselves no favors coming up here in this last quarter, so.
Well, we go to quarter 8. I remind you, we have an 8-minute overrun. 9:45 to 10 p.m. An ad break. And the start of Okada versus Ibushi with picture-in-picture. 541,000 viewers. 8-minute overrun. Continuation of the match and the post-match with the Callis family and Omega. 574,000. Here's what's interesting, too. Key demo was at 179 for quarter 7. Jumped to 241 for quarter 8. And then went to 267 for the overrun. I don't know if we've seen a jump like that in recent memory, and that's obviously surprising. The fact that there would only be a 300,000 viewer difference between the overall number and the key demo for Okada versus Ibushi is surprising.
Well, it's the younger folks that are more brainwashed to this horse shit because they didn't have as long to watch actual real pro wrestling. But we take the overrun out because, Jesus Christ, that's 30,000 people wandered in to watch Modern Family. I have a feeling most of those people are adults also. That's why I jumped there. But that they gained 18,000 from quarter 7 to quarter 8 to watch that sleepwalking contest, again, they ought to be turning cartwheels. But the more you show them that they can't do anything anymore, doesn't that take the luster off these guys? Shouldn't he at least try to, instead of putting them in with each other when neither one's going to try, put them in with somebody else that'll work hard?
Maybe you get more bang for your buck if you put them in there together. Even if the match isn't good, if it popped the key demo, which is the only thing the network cares about according to AEW, make it a 2-hour Iron Man match with these two.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Neither one are made out of iron, and that would be the longest 2 hours of anybody's life. Okay, so the dream match, instead of drawing 523,000 viewers, drew 541,000. But a bunch of people, what? Now, wait a minute. Hold on here. Something's wrong here. Explain this to me, how this could happen, Brian. You say quarter 7 was 523,000 people and 179,000 in the key demo, right?
Correct.
Quarter 8 was 541,000 people. That is 18,000 people more than quarter 7. But the key demo is up 62,000 people. So does that mean that not only did 18,000 new people come into that segment, but suddenly 44,000 people that were watching quit, and another 44,000 in a different age group came in.
And by the way, that age group is 18 to 49-year-old males. So it's not like, a small little age group of young people. 18 to 49 is a pretty big.
Well, yeah, but how do they gain a fucking, hold on, 41. How do they gain 62,000 people in an age group, but only gain 18,000 people overall? That means a bunch of other people in a different age group had to quit fucking watching. Suddenly, all by themselves. When it had gone 211, 198, 197, 198, 178, that, that's fluctuate. All of a sudden, how the fuck does that work?
Yeah, if those viewers hadn't come back, would this have been in the 400s for quarter 8?
Not even come back, but it's a whole different goddamn concoction of them.
That's true.
There are 18,000 more viewers overall, but 62,000 more in the key demo. So where'd the 44,000 people that were between the ages of 5 and 9 and 62 and 94 go?
So those lapsed New Japan fans. There it was. AEW Dynamite for July 2nd. Welcome to the summer.
Well, it is summertime, Brian. You know what summer means? More warmth, more light, more hours in the day, the daytime, the time to spend outside. You're going to be out and about enjoying the moments from sun up to sundown. You need something to listen to. Because you see it all the time, Brian. You see people walking down the street, look like John Travolta walking down the street, staying alive, having Saturday Night Fever. Or you see somebody else walking down the street dancing like Elaine Bennis. You can't hear a dadgum thing. There's no noise. But these people, they're not epileptic. They're just having seizures. They're jerking their body. They're all kind of twitching about. And it's because they're listening to their own private soundtrack on the Raycon Everyday Wireless Earbuds. Brian, many members of your family listen to these things, don't they?
That's right. I had a pair, and then someone in the family took it because they love their Raycon, and Suzanne has them. The kids have them. I will hopefully be getting another new pair soon because I love my Raycon.
You can tell who did that if you have that earwax analyzed.
Well, we're not going to go
because everybody, earwax is just like a blood type. And folks, I'll tell you what, right now, the summertime and living is easy. And if you're listening to your own soundtrack, it used to be hard. Remember when people used to go out to the beach in the 50s and have to drag their record player along with them and have to actually get down on all fours and somebody would set the record player on the guy's back and then you'd try to figure out how to plug the speakers in and sooner or later the hot dogs would be burnt. Well, now it's easy. And it's not even as hard as back in the boombox days. Brian, you remember that when you had to take a 3-foot long, 2.5 foot high, 80-pound boombox around and listen to your music that way. Now it all goes right in your ears. It all fits right snugly in your ears in a variety of vibrant colors. You can listen to podcasts. You can listen to music. You can listen to talk radio. You can, as a matter of fact, if you want to, have your wife write down a list of things that she needs to nag you about that day. So when you go out on your walk, you can still know what you're doing wrong. All of these things are available with Raycon's everyday earbuds. Well, you can do that also.
Raycon. That is nothing. That's available on your own in your own private time. That's nothing to do with Raycon.
Well, and maybe have her make a sexy time tape. So when you walk down the street, you can listen to the sounds of your wife and pet Dalmatian screaming. And speaking of battery power, with Raycon's quick charge function, just 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery. Don't go back and listen to this show.
No, that was sexy time?
These earbuds also, don't listen to it again. You'll want to start messing with it. These earbuds also come with active noise cancellation, which is something difficult to find. You can't cancel the noise today in this world for any price. And Raycons start at just half the price of other premium audio brands. You can get 2 pair of these for the same price. You can get one of these overpriced, high-priced premium brands. That means you can have a pair and a spare just in case something happens to the pair you got a spare. Or you can find some underprivileged person, go up on the street and stick these things in their ears and imagine their surprise. Watch their face when you give homeless people a pair of these earbuds set to like a police scanner. It's amazing how they'll just immediately start listening like their lives depend on it.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about examples that apply to you that we can all relate to. needing to listen to some good tunes on the treadmill, needing to get up and go and take your tunes or your podcast with you, Raycon great earbuds. I wear them. Yes. I love them. My family does. Jim.
Stacy loves them too. Stacy snatches them up every time, and she hasn't heard me speak to her since probably 2015.
You know what her favorite color is?
She's always listening to stuff.
I know what her favorite color of Raycon is.
Chartreuse.
No, mint.
Oh, she got the mint. That's right.
Chartreuse. What?
The chartreuse were a favorite. You know, you can take phone calls on these sumbitches too.
Yes, I
now
did.
Think about this. Let's say that you've called in sick at work and they call you back just to make sure you're sick, but you're out there sunbathing. All you got to do is make sure you sunbathe right next to your car. And then you say, I'm walking to the doctor's office right now. I'm so sick. And then you blow your horn and scream and slam the door. And then you can get 2 weeks more off of work because they'll think you're in a hospital in traction. See, imagine that, being able to take phone calls anywhere on the go while you're just walking around outside.
Well, let's imagine
it's amazing.
Let's imagine that part, not the other part. But what's such a great thing is that this is a great deal for the listeners. Jim, why don't we let them know how they can get their Raycon at a great price right now?
Yes, all you got to do is track down the name of the head of Raycon and then scream while honking a horn and slamming a door, and then threaten to sue them unless they send you some new Raycon everyday earbuds. Or if you want to go about it the old-fashioned way.
They have a website that they like us to use.
Yes, if you want to be old-fashioned about it, go to Buy Raycon, BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE. You're going to get 15% off Raycon's best-selling everyday earbuds for music or talk or phone conversations or intercepting secret missions from NASA. You can do everything in this world today.
No, we can't intercept
you've got communication
audio.
and you got communication devices in your head. You'll be able to pick these things up. And if you raise the My Favorite Martian special antenna.
No, there's no antenna. No, there's no antenna.
Well, that's only when you press the sound canceling button and go, Uncle Martin, then the antenna go up and you are talking to Mars.
No antenna, but a great way to enjoy your favorite music, your favorite shows. Raycon, Jim, what's that website and that promo code?
15% off the best-selling everyday earbuds at buyraycon.com/JCE. Well, I'll tell you what, you might have Raycons in your ears, but if Ibushi had Raycons in his ears, they would have popped out because you just sent me the clip. What in the world? So they're standing in the ring, him and Kenny. After the show has gone off the air, there's a chair laying in the ring, and Ibushi just turns his back on it, flings himself up in the air, takes a flat back bump with the back of his head landing on the chair, then pops up to his feet, jumps up, gets out of the ring, and waves at everybody and walks off. Even Kenny's looking like, what the fuck did he do that for? What is the matter with these people? Why would you do that? Oh, here, let me take one more bump to show you that everything is all fake and nothing hurts, even the shit that really does. And then I'll hurt myself and then go back to the dressing room. Well, anyway, speaking of removing your brain and replacing it with something, what can we replace our brains with on the Arcadian Vanguard Network this fine week?
All right, well, let's try to do this quick. We have a long way to go. On Twitter at Superpodcast or on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard, the wrestling news each and every day. No clickbait, no paywall, just the wrestling news, thewrestlingnews.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast. The Morning Wrestling Newscast. Of course, Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon at SUAWpod.com. Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam at McAdamPod.com. Both shows available wherever you find your favorite podcast. And the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! Yeah, that crapped out just like my voice is. I'm starting to lose my voice, but go through the archive and hear me when I sounded really nice. 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcast. The Mothership.
When did you sound really nice?
Hey.
Well, I guess it can't. I proved today that I was polite at one time, so I guess anything can happen. Before we leave the air today, we are going to start we're going to continue a project we were doing. We're going to start on the other side of the street. Several weeks ago, over a period of a couple or three different shows, we went through the AEW talent roster and we pared it down. Who would we keep? Who would we chuck? And we've still kept those lists, folks. And we're going to polish that up even further when we get something to work with from the other company. And then we're going to make this an ongoing thing where we eventually whittle it down to how many legitimate talents does each company have, and then how do they compare with each other? But first, we got to do the WWE. And Brian, it took us a while to go through the AEW roster because there's 100 and whatever officially on that. I have a feeling the WWE roster is bigger, so we're going to start at, I guess, at A and see how far we get before we just want to hang ourselves in our closet today. Is that about concisely conveyed the information?
Well, I think we'll be okay without any hangings, but if I go to WWE.com under Superstars, they have all the champions, and then they have current superstars, and you could break it down to Raw, SmackDown, Free Agent, or current superstars, or all superstars.
Well, why don't we just, instead of trying to limit ourselves, since the pickings are so slim, why don't we just go all superstars? Because everybody, every superstar's life is important. And we need to consider whether or not to fire them just equally the same, no matter who they are.
Now, are we doing men and women together as part of the same pool?
Are they in any way segregated, or how hard do we have to fucking, Jesus, just men and just everybody at random? Oh boy.
All right, well, let's go through the champions.
You tell me and we'll both know. How about that?
The undisputed WWE champion, John Cena.
Well, that's a trick question right off the bat. Because if we keep him, we've only got 5 months of him. So do we put that with an asterisk? We're going to keep a star like John Cena for 5 months, but not for long term.
The World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther.
Definitely going to keep Gunther.
The Women's World Champion, Io Sky.
Oh, Christ.
There is someone in Castle Cornette who's a fan of Io Sky.
Yes, there is. Stacy likes Io Sky. But Stacy ain't booking this. I'm sorry, Io has to go.
Oh, come on.
They have ruined the image of every Japanese wrestler, female wrestler, woman wrestler, because of painting them all up or making them all up to fit either the AEW indie Japanese schoolgirl fetish thing they got going on, or this ridiculous kabuki dancer deal that everybody in the WWE has to do. Nobody can just be Gail Kim, normal person who happens to be of Asian persuasion.
Well, I don't think I think the fans really like Io Sky. No one sees her as that, and she's very different. She's not a kabuki dancer or I don't even remember what you said about AEW. Frilly person.
Frilly Japanese schoolgirl fetishistic type of thing. Like the Rihos.
The big problem is she wins the title and she hasn't had any title defenses. We haven't seen her do anything since then.
That's terrible.
She's very good. Let's go to...
Oh, God damn it. Then I'll keep her. Io Sky. We're going to have to separate the men and women later on unless we're doing an intergender division.
Women's champion, Tiffany Stratton.
You got to keep Tiffany. She grates on me, but they've elevated her to the top, and she is an athletic, robust-looking young thing.
The Intercontinental Champion, Dominic Mysterio.
Definitely got to keep... You know what? Remember, we had like 3 people that we kept on the AEW roster. I'd fired the entire page. Now... There's nobody going. Dominic, we got to keep Dominic.
Did we do the WWE roster last time when he was like a young babyface and we were like, I don't know. I don't know about him.
I don't know. It may have even been before him the last time we did this. But yeah, we didn't know.
The U.S. champion, Solo Sikoa.
again, we were being charitable with a lot of people in AEW because we were chucking so many of them. I think you still have, it's not even being charitable to keep Solo because he has value. He's not Jacob Fatu, but he's not either. So I think you got to keep Solo.
The Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch is a superstar. Her best days may be behind her, but she's got a couple of good things in front of her. We got to keep Becky Lynch. She can cut a promo. She's got a fucking name. She's been a bigger star, but in the past, but they still like her.
The Women's United States Champion, Julia.
Oh, what have I seen her once? I know people like her. I wasn't thrilled. We got a lot of women.
She's a champion, Jim.
Yeah. Hey, so was fucking Pockets when he won something. Oh, goddamn, everybody's going to get mad if I get rid of Julia. I don't know what to do with Julia. Can we just suspend some instead of firing them?
You do it. It's your roster. It's your roster. You got to make the decision.
Let's come back to it. We'll put Julia over on the side. If we need Julia, we'll call for her.
The WWE Speed Champion, El Grande Americano.
Okay, but this is, again, another loaded question. Besides Chad Gable, get well soon. He's had surgery. I don't want to keep El Grande Americano, but I want to keep Chad Gable. So is he listed twice?
More than likely, yes.
Well, then I'll keep Gable and dump Americano.
The Women's Speed Champion, Sal Rucka, or Ruka. I'm not sure. I've never seen her.
Well, and don't get used to her. Just because, for heaven's sake.
The World Tag Team Champions, Finn Balor and JD McDonough.
Their tag team division is so disinteresting because it's all mid-card guys and it's not the talent's fault. There's just no main event tag teams in the company anymore. Finn's a great worker, and Finn he's probably closer to the end than the beginning. I'm not trying to retire him, but he is older than he used to be. He would probably make a good trainer, good agent. Been a responsible professional. You don't hear bad stories about him. I would keep Finn on the cards, and JD works hard. Let's put JD over on the side in case we need something. Well, no, fuck it. Let's just keep JD.
Yeah, JD's pretty good. JD's pretty good.
We could do something different with him besides him being the smiley, large-headed fucking sidekick all the time.
Leave his head alone. Jim.
I haven't touched his head.
The WWE Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits.
What's their individual names?
Montez Ford and something Dawkins.
Ford is the one who has the extraordinary leaping ability and seems like he looks a little bit more athletic, I believe. I don't like the gimmick per se, and I think people are kind of tired because they've been there forever, but I would repackage Montez Ford and let Daryl Dawkins go away and learn a new hold.
The Women's Tag Team Champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez.
When did they win the belts? We just saw...
Well, no, Liv Morgan's injured, so Roxanne has been chosen. Freebird rules to take her place.
Well, we'll keep Rochelle because she got the size and the menacing demeanor. I think Stacy says Roxanne Perez is okay. Let's keep Roxanne Perez until we polish this down later.
And clearly they're building to Liv Morgan coming back probably as a babyface to confront Raquel for stealing her group and her man and her tag team partner and everything else.
We got to keep Liv Morgan. No, everybody's going to hear me. Going to be happy to hear me say that. But she's a star now. I just don't want to see her wrestle a lot, but I like to watch her box. No, I like to watch her fucking be in the middle of things and stir people up.
Jim, a few more. The NXT champions. The NXT champion is Obafemi.
Okay, and now also somebody sent a video where the accent is bullshit. I remember we were debating that. What's with the accent when we watched him the one time?
He does a good job with it.
I mean, you seem to be high on him. We watched the one match, and I recall that I wasn't thrilled. Is there something there to work with?
Absolutely.
All right, let's put Oba down.
The NXT. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, see what we can do.
NXT Women's Champion JC Jane.
Okay, at some point we got to start drawing some lines here, and even though Jane Wayne Gacy has a very attitudinal demeanor when she comes out for her entrance, no, we're getting down to the indie levels now. Plus, they've been in NXT for 5 years. She's gonna come. She'd have come by now. A lot of times you hear that said in certain situations.
The NXT North America champion, Ethan Page.
You know, he was better after he left the Lollipop Guild. You know, let's put him over on the side there because I still need some convincing, but he ain't rotten.
You already threw away the Women's North American champion, Sal Ruka, or Ruka. What about the NXT Tag Team Champions, Hank and Tank?
I'm so now what?
And I don't know who these guys are. Hank and Tank.
Okay, well, let's grab him by the hank of the hair and tank him.
It's one of them's name is Hank Walker. And does it let me click on the Tank? No, it only goes to the Hank.
Hank and the Tank. Well, it's the Tank brothers, Sherman and Septic. Yeah, we've never seen them, so we won't miss them. Bye, Hank and Tank.
And finally, the NXT Heritage Cup champion.
These are still all fucking champions?
That's right. Stax.
What, the record label or
no.
what is that?
No, I wish. No, Stax, I think he was a part of the Tony D'Angelo crew.
Oh, God, yeah.
Very curly hair. Looks kind of like Kenny G-ish.
Yeah, let's not have him around anymore.
All right, we will now go to the current superstars list.
Jesus Christ. Is this at least alphabetical?
Adam Pearce.
Well, Adam Pearce we would keep, but he's not on the wrestling roster. He is one of the general managers, and I have no squabble with the general management.
What about Adriana Rizzo?
Adriana Rizzo, well, her husband, Jilly, was always good to Frank. So, but at the same time, no. Who the fuck?
I clicked on her bio.
Who is that?
Oh, she's part of the group with Stax and Tony D'Angelo and Luca Crisafino. Very pretty girl.
Okay, I'm writing Luca Persephone.
So, is she on the list or is she on the side list? Where is she?
No, well, she's got to go with Stax and Tony and all the rest of her group or she'll get lonesome. So they're going to be sleeping with the fishes.
What about AJ Styles?
Keeping AJ Styles, obviously.
What about Akira Tozawa?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, even if it was comedy, and even if he's a wonderful person, give him a job on the crew if you don't want to unemploy him. But what is he, 125 pounds, and he just shows up to be in some comedy underneath group and get thrown around every once in a while? No, we don't need that. He could go to AEW, do that.
Alba Fire.
Hey. Did we start the fire?
No, but it's always been burning since the world's been turning.
Well, if we didn't start the fire, I'd say put it out.
What about Aleister Black?
Good Lord. Oh, my God. But if we fire him, will he show back up in AEW? Then we can we put him in suspended animation? He can do that kick, and most of the time it looks good. Every once in a while, it looks like it might give brain damage. And otherwise than that, he's like watching grass grow.
How about Alex Shelley?
Alex Shelley, we're going to keep him. The Guns are good, talented, and hardworking. They're just stuck in a division that is just, has no oomph to it.
How about Alexa Bliss?
You're trying my patience here. Sell me. Why? What does she need to do?
I'm not a fan. I can't sell you.
Okay, well,
she sells merch. She sells merch.
Well, but a lot of these people would sell merch if we get started on them. She can chase Alistair down the road.
The ring announcer, Alicia Taylor.
Is she the one with the needlessly ridiculous hairdo? Yeah, she's got to go.
To be honest, you may be describing the guys, too, on the, the ring announcer crew right now.
Well, no, but the one that looks like the giant fucking cotton candy type of thing with things sticking out of it. Yeah, she wasn't old Samantha Irvin.
No.
Poor old Samantha having to sit home with Slick Dome.
What about Andrade?
Again, tell me any reason why. What should he be doing right now that would be interesting?
He's talented, but you'd have to do something completely different with him and not have him interact with. Like, it seems like he's only in feuds or dealing with the other Latino wrestlers. And it doesn't help him break away. But I don't know if I would keep him.
He can run away then.
From NXT, Andre Chase.
Poor fella. He's one of the, what were their names in Ring of Honor? You saw him, the brothers, him and his brother.
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
No, now I've blanked completely. Him and his brother were a team in Ring of Honor 15 years ago. What were their names? They worked the ring crew too. But yeah, this Chase University thing and that's been crap for years now. That when we were watching NXT years ago, they were still doing it.
Oh, he's one of the Bravado brothers. I never even
Bravado brothers. There you go.
Huh. I never even knew that. Interesting.
He can go. He can drop out of school and change his name. I might bring him back.
What about Angel Garza, who I believe now is technically one of their champions because he's one of the AAA Tag Team Champions now.
Yeah, well, I don't care, but at least he's got something to fall back on. Yeah, we need to try to get rid of a lot of the clutter here so that we can see the stars.
Apollo Crews.
We said in AEW we were going to try not to count bad booking or somebody just being, not presented interestingly, but there's something there. A guy that looks like that has that much experience, you might be able to get something out of it. I'd keep him around for a little while.
Here's an interesting one because I believe you may have interacted with this person a long, long time ago. Ariana Grace.
How would I have interacted with?
I could be wrong. I believe this is the daughter of Santino Marella.
Oh, is that the one he had sitting on his lap?
I don't know of any other one.
Okay, well, you never know. I mean, well, no, with him, I'm surprised he has a legitimate one, much less any others. Yeah, she could go visit her dad and sit on his lap again in the unemployment line.
Otherwise known as TNA. What about Ashanti Adonis?
I'm trying to remember the last time we saw him.
Yeah, actually, I don't remember. He was that one of Hit Row?
He was the one they kept when they fired the other ones, wasn't he? Or maybe?
I don't know. Well, we don't know who he is, so there you go.
We don't know.
Asuka.
Okay, I kept Io Sky. Which one would you rather have?
Right now, I would keep Io because Asuka's older.
Okay, then see you, Oscar.
Here's one that, it's funny, I see him, I think of you. Austin Theory.
Of course, we keep Austin Theory, and in some fashion, try to redeem what's been done to him over the past, I don't know how long. The only guy on the whole roster whose career suffered because Vince left.
The NXT general manager, Ava.
Oh boy, howdy. I mean, I'd like to come up with a line about she should go and do something she'd be good at, but I don't know what that would be. But no, she doesn't need to be on television at all in any way, shape, or form, wrestling or otherwise.
I'm in agreement with you on that. What about the masked Axiom?
He can go with his mask, or he can take the mask off and then go. As long as he goes, I'm not going to be picky. What is Hold on, Axon, Ax off.
Axiom.
I'm trying to find it. Axis, Axle Tree, Axiom. A self-evident or universally recognized truth, a principle that is accepted as true without proof. Well, there you go. If you think he's a star, you got to accept that without proof.
Jim from the women's division, B-Fab.
Oh, good Lord. How quickly can we get her bags packed? That's just, it's embarrassing. I mean, we enjoyed watching her because of the awkwardness and the impending imminent botch that was going to happen in any second, but really somebody ought to put her out of her misery in this thing, because she's never going to get it.
How about Bayley?
We'll keep Bayley. Don't even have to think about that. If we're trimming down a bunch of the clutter of the women's roster, there's plenty of room for Bayley, who can work and talk.
How about Berto?
How about who?
Berto.
Who the fuck is Berto?
He's the partner of Angel. He is also from the Garza family. And he's just known as Berto.
Well, he can go with his brother, because I don't want to break up families. I'm not a monster.
I don't know if they're brothers, but I get the point. Bianca Belair.
Got to keep Bianca, one of the biggest stars on the female roster.
Big E.
Well, that's not even a fair question. He's injured and is not going to, so we don't consider, we're not going to fire him, but we're not going to put him in the ring. He's working on their broadcast crew now.
And I have to say, I think he does a really good job with that. Like on the pregame and the postgame, it's not a game. The pre-show and the post-show, I think he does a really good job on those broadcasts, I guess we're calling.
Yeah, so if we get to the announcers and everything, we can bring him back into the picture.
I'm not sure who this is. Oh, he's an announcer. Blake Howard. Exactly. How about Blake Monroe?
Now, wait a minute. Wrestler or porn star?
This is the wrestler Blake Monroe, formerly known as Mariah May.
I thought that sounded familiar. Let's keep old Blake around. See what she can come up with. Mina Mellons has taken her place in the affections of Tony Storm, so she's out there ready. She's single and ready to mingle.
What about Booker T?
Well, again, the broadcast booth is another list that we'll compile, but obviously I wouldn't put Booker in the ring right now if you heard my agent report on him for 15 years. Well, he wasn't trying, though, back then. So,
but would you put him on the mic?
Well, that's a question we'll answer when we get to the announcers.
All right, because it seems like they're mixed in here. That's why I'm bringing this up.
Well, I think we ought to go back and goddamn talk about announcers later on.
What about Brynlee Reese?
I don't have any fucking idea who that might be. Is it a man or a woman?
It is a woman.
Can you tell by the picture?
It is an excitable woman, apparently, in NXT. Jim, what about Brock Lesnar?
If they could get him, I would have him because he's one of the biggest stars in the business and he could put somebody over, if nothing else, in a big main event pay-per-view match. So, of course, you want Brock, but talking him out of Saskatchewan and or whether or not he's still got heat may be another factor.
And the payday he's going to want.
Oh, they ain't got any room to complain about paying anybody anything these days, the money they're making.
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker is not only being kept, but he would be moving quickly into the champions list.
I'm assuming from NXT, Bronco Nima.
Unless that's Bronco Lubitsch under another name, we can say goodbye.
Bronson Reed.
And we're keeping him right over with his other Braun.
Another one I'm going to assume is NXT, Brooks Jensen. It is a man.
He is one of the remember Brooks Jensen and somebody else, I said they sounded like Black and Decker. They were trying to make them a kind of a working class blue collar Southern tag team. One of them is the son of Bull Buchanan.
Oh.
Which I would keep him if I knew which one he was. Remember, they also made him look stupid with all the NXT girls because he wanted to date one or whatever the fuck was going on. We'll keep Brooks Jensen if he's related to the Bull Buchanan family and revamp his gimmick completely.
From the Creed brothers, Brutus Creed.
Well, it doesn't matter which Creed brother we're talking about because I think those guys are just misfucking cast. They're awkward. They're not natural workers. I know they're tremendous athletes and they can show their strength and whatever, but I haven't liked any of their work. I thought the guy's flying ass blow was fucking dangerous when he'd land his fat ass on people. And they just look like narcs in amateur wrestling gear. And they don't get the pro stuff. And I don't know that we're going to live long enough. I think these are another two Shane twins. That's my opinion. So they're gone.
On the topic of announcers, not necessarily commentators, I don't know if he does that, but he does backstage microphone holding, Byron Saxton.
Well, by the by, Byron, we'll put you over on the crew. There you are.
So you're keeping him?
We're keeping him on the TV crew. He can hold a microphone.
He does a good job. Not on commentary, but doing the other things. Candice LeRae.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We need to get Candy LaRue completely out of the company. I mean, seriously, an underachieving indie level, bland, boring, now over the hill talent, I use that word loosely, that never fit in with the fucking world-class athletes and the major fucking mamma jammas they've got on the women's roster in the WWE. She's indie, and she got in because her husband, Johnny Sameface, apparently has pictures of Shawn Michaels with a goddamn goat. Because the female Johnny Sameface is Candy LaRue. The male Candy LaRue is Johnny Sameface. They're indie, unremarkable athletes doing moves. But yet they persevere here in this, and I don't understand how.
I don't know this person. I'm assuming you don't either. Carly Bright.
You'd be very bright to assume that. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Carmelo Hayes.
Boy, what was he like, the number 3 draft pick? Maybe higher, and then got on TV and went on a 15-match losing streak. And yeah, no, there's nothing there.
Backstage interviewer Kathy Kelly.
Is she the one that is good or the one that's like all the other ones? Jackie Redmond is the good one.
Jackie Redmond's very good.
Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, Kathy Kelly. No, fuck Kathy Kelly.
Well, she's all right. She's all right.
I don't mean to say that. We might keep her around for that. But,
all right. Be nice. Can you behave yourself?
Well, no, I want Jackie Redmond because she's the only girl interviewer that actually sounds like she's a legitimate sports personality. The rest of them sound like they're just doing script reading.
All right, you already kept Chad Gable. You already gave up on Stax. Apparently his real name or his wrestler name is Channing Stax Lorenzo. What about Charlie Dempsey, the son of William Regal?
I have not seen him the first time. Have you?
I think I've seen him in some like backstage vignettes when I've gone past NXT, but I don't think I've seen him wrestle, no.
Okay, well, if he was any good, we'd have seen him by now. So, I mean, we could hire every wrestler in the world. They've got the money, but let's just concentrate on who we can, within the next couple of years, make something out of.
Geez, some of the photos they picked here. Jim, what about Charlotte Flair?
Of course, we're keeping Charlotte Flair, and everybody will go into fucking chaos about it, but she's goddamn major fucking name.
What about Chelsea Green?
You know,
I keep her.
Well, that's the thing is, it's so over the top and so phony, but she's so committed to it. The whole personality and the finger pointing and the puns and the whole 9 yards and the flousy outfits. I'll keep her too. Can't stand to watch her, but what a heel that makes her.
What about Chris Sabin?
Chris, well, we got to have the Sabin to the Shelley.
CM Punk.
I think we could probably find a place for him on the card, just maybe to put somebody over.
How about Cody Rhodes?
Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. Yeah, we got to keep Cody Rhodes. We're in the C's, and I think we have as many people I've kept as I kept in the whole AEW roster. This is going to get crowded.
But we thought there were
a lot of these
there.
people, there's nothing the matter with them. But if you went back and took another look and you were gelling it down to the 20 or 25 top money ball players, a lot of them wouldn't make it, but there's no reason to fire them either. So we'll see what we end up with. Go ahead.
Jim, as a commentator, Corey Graves.
I'd keep Corey Graves. He's new, he's young, he's hip, he's with it.
It's been there a while. I don't know if I'd say new.
Well, compared to Michael Cole, who's been there longer than dirt, he's so old I did his first show.
What about Cruz del Toro?
Can he cruise on out of here?
I'm assuming this is an NXT person. Cutler James.
Well, let's cut him.
Damian Priest.
We got to keep Damian Priest, if for nothing else, then if we can't figure out a way to repackage that a little bit, then he can put some people over.
Seemingly from NXT, Dante Chen.
We saw him.
We did?
Do something at some point. I recognize that name. I don't think he's very good. So he goes.
How about Dexter Lumis?
Oh, boy, I said I wasn't going to take bad booking out on anybody, but that the whole Wyatt thing needs to be stopped. There's something to Dexter Lumis. He can do shit for a guy his size, etc. Remember, I liked him a few years ago. Then he disappeared. Then he showed up in the Wyatt thing, and I try not to look. Let's keep him and figure out somebody else for him to be.
Another NXT person, Dion Lennox.
Another firing Dion Lennox.
Yeah. He comes up with these names. Oh my God.
It's interchangeable fucking just bland names.
Dragon Lee.
Oh God, how quick can we get rid of him? Jesus Christ. Maybe him and Mystico can team up and go stink the joint out somewhere else.
Drew McIntyre.
Obviously, he'll be at the top of the card. He's one of the great eight. And I mean, already we're only in the D's. And already, Don, not even talking about Cena because he's part-time now. Gunther, hold on, I'm going down for main event players. Gunther, we've got Brock, we got Braun Breaker, we got CM Punk, we got Cody Rhodes, we got Drew McIntyre. We got 6 fucking main event level stars, and we're only to the D's.
But do you have Idris enough?
I've had too much of enough. So let's have less.
What about Elton Prince from the tag team Pretty Deadly?
Oh, God. Can we fire him and then rehire him so we can fire him again? That is the worst looking team, worst team gimmick, worst working team, worst sounding team. I bet they smell bad.
What about Eric Rowan?
He's the red bearded fellow with the Wyatts, right?
That is right.
I'd release him so he could go join Brody King. I think they used to be partners and they'd look good together.
Was he partners with Brody King?
I think he was, wasn't he? Weren't they in some kind of group?
His partners with Brody Lee, but he's the one who passed away.
Oh, wrong Brody. Well,
he's not going to go do that.
Not going to go do that now. Well, he can do what he wants.
Jim, what about Eric? From the War Raiders, I presume.
I'm going to keep both the Vikings or the Raider. Eric Raider, and what's the other guy's name?
Ivar
Raider. Okay. There's something in there. They were goofy as the Vikings. They're better as the War Raiders. But just 2 big fucking nasty looking guys like that, if you started them out with a logical, halfway decent gimmick and just let them do their thing, they can work. Maybe a manager would help.
What about Fallon Henley?
I think unless she's going to do Dawn's parts in the concert, she needs to go.
Grayson Waller.
Please, how far can we send him?
Man, you just hate him. You don't think there's anything there.
God. Nothing redeeming whatsoever.
Well, you're consistent.
Well, I mean, look at it. Bad physique, bad gear, bad haircut, bad promo, even because it goes on forever because somebody told him he could talk and now he won't shut up. And the booking is horrible. And what's good about it?
What about Ilya Dragunov?
Where is he gone?
I think he got hurt, didn't he?
God damn, did he get run over by a train? We haven't seen him in years. Yeah, I love that kid. I'd keep him in a heartbeat.
From the women's division, Ivy Nile.
Can we send her on a cruise? Up the Nile?
Up the Nile, okay.
Up the Nile.
What about Izzy Dame?
What?
Izzy Dame. This is another one of the superstars in developmental and NXT. Izzy Dame.
Well, is he a dame?
It's a girl. No, it's a woman.
It's a girl. Well, okay, then give her walking papers.
You already said you would keep Jackie Redmond.
Yes, I got to write her name down. There you go.
Jacob Fatu.
Well, I think we can probably let him hang around a little while. There you go. Now are we up to 7 main eventers now?
And we will finish with Jay, and then we'll pick up again next time.
I was about to say, we're only at Jay. We've been doing this for a fucking hour. How many people?
Jim, what about Jade Cargill?
I'm thinking. She looks like a star. If you set her matches up, she has produced, but at the same time, is she progressing by leaps and bounds from where she was at AEW now that she's getting training? Or are they still setting her shit up step by step? And I mean, there's something there. Let's keep her.
From NXT, I presume, Jada Parker.
That's right. She was one of the Parker gang along with Ma Parker. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a Batman villain. Yeah, I don't know about Jada.
What about Jasmine Nix?
Let's nix her.
How about Javon Evans?
What in the world is going on with these names? Let's move on, Javon.
I would keep Javon Evans. I think he's 21 or 22 years old, got height. He's athletic and he'll fill out more, connects with the fans. You know,
all right. Well,
he's only going to look
Javon
so good under Shawn Michaels' style of entertainment.
At least until I've seen him, let's keep him.
Jey Uso.
Got to keep Jey Uso. I would have a talk to him about certain aspects of his comeback timing, but otherwise we got to keep him. He's over.
Jimmy Uso.
I think you got to keep Jimmy Uso because he's, again, part of several of the intricate stories of the last couple of years, but it's going to be a natural progression to whereas they're just always going to think more of Jay than Jimmy now. They're not really going to reverse that.
Joaquin Wilde.
What? Who? What did he do? When have I seen him?
I think
I know
actually
the name. I've read it.
Wasn't he the one that, I forget where it was, because Carrie Silkin was in the room with you, and there was one other person where you guys did that TV special where it showed like you guys doing Ring of Honor tryout promos.
Oh yes, he had he didn't have that name then, but he was another person.
DJ Zima Ion or something like that.
Zemo, yes. Goddamn, where's he been? You seen him lately?
He was one of the lucha suits.
Oh,
I think.
Well, no wonder we can't find him. There's 6 of them, and they all look the same, act the same, and intersperse with each other. I mean, we could hire Howie the mailroom guy too, but I don't really know what Joaquin is doing right now. Let's send him back to the pond and we'll catch him later when he's grown.
Joe Gacy.
Oh, good Lord. That's that outlaw looking guy in the Wyatts, right? He does a lot of
That is correct.
indie shit and handstands, but he looks like a half-baked brown and serve roll. Yeah, let's not have him around anymore.
On commentary, Joe Tessitore.
Joe Tessitore ain't doing too bad. We got to put him over on the broadcasters list.
Johnny Gargano.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, everybody knows where I'm putting him. Hold on, I'm going to have to start a new page here.
Only a few more names here on the list for Jay.
On the Jays.
Jordan Grace.
Have we seen her at all? She signed, but she never showed up.
We saw her in the Royal Rumble, I think, a few times, or if not, I think it was twice. That's why I say a few times. I think it was twice, but I've seen her on a few NXT things. I don't know if you would have.
Well, let's keep her for the moment. Old Butterface. Me and her are friends from way back.
2 more names here. I assume this is NXT. Josh Briggs.
That's what it was. Briggs and Jensen instead of Black and Decker. I don't remember which one is which, but I want whichever one Bull's son is. He's got to have it in his genes. What's this guy's name?
Josh Briggs.
I don't think he's the one.
Does that pass the name test? Should any heel be named Josh?
Well, I mean, it depends if it's a fucking job guy. Josh is a fine name, but if you're talking about a main event fucking star, I don't know that Josh Briggs, either one passes the test.
And finally, Jim Julius Creed.
Well, I've already written him down with his brother. Get rid of him back in the bees.
All
We
right.
have, there's 26 lines on a notebook pad paper, and we have gone through approximately 100 names and only gotten to the J's. But I got to admit, it's it's almost exactly half and half. I've kept about 5 less than I've thrown away. With AEW, I had everybody I kept on one sheet of paper, and there was 3 pages of get rid of them. So they're doing something right. But again, we're keeping on in both companies. We're keeping some guys just, well, there's nothing wrong with them. They could be on the card. You could repackage them. But then if you went down to polishing, you would say, okay, well, there's 10 of those guys and I only need 4. So 6 more might go, and one's kind of the same as the other. You just have to kind of figure out, and the thing is, if you're a movie director or a movie studio, you don't hire every goddamn actor in Hollywood for the same movie. You want to keep some out there. Hey, if this is a hit, we'll do a goddamn sequel. And then we can bring some other new actors in to interact with the stars of our franchise. So it doesn't mean you never wanted to use them, but they ain't nothing to write home about right now that you need them. That type of thing.
Well, that was the WWE roster A to J, at least according to WWE.com.
And if we can't trust them, who can we trust? That's a question you got to ask yourself, Brian. You know what other question you got to ask yourself?
What's that?
Are we fucking done?
We are. It's time to celebrate.
Well, in that case, bang, bang, go the fireworks. And we will see you folks on the drive-thru in a few days. And until then, for Brian, I am Jim. Thank you. Fuck you. And bye-bye, everybody.